Chapter 2885. I'm back. One of the young men glanced at the land of the undead and suddenly let out a loud laugh. An old man in straw sandals glanced around and said suspiciously, "Madman, where is this place? Are you sure we're back in the ancient world?" "That's right." This young man was Madman. Madman looked at the old man and said disdainfully, "You're too ignorant, old man. You don't even know about the land of the undead." Ahem. The old man coughed and said speechlessly, "I've never been to the North region. How would I know about the land of the undead?" "Now you know, the land of the undead is a forbidden area in the North region. The battle between the dragons and my Empyrean palace broke out here." Madman said. "I see." The old man suddenly realized. An old man in green looked at Madman and said, "Don't talk nonsense, quickly send a message to the young master." This person was Yang Li. "Yes." Fire Python said before that Qin Feiyang returned to the ancient world directly. He's probably still in the North region. This time it was a young man in red who spoke. He was Sovereign Beast. Madman nodded and took out an image crystal to send a message to Qin Feiyang, but the result was like a stone sinking into the sea. Sovereign Beast frowned and said, "It seems that he should have returned to the divine land." "If the young master returned to the divine land, then how do we go back?" Yang Li raised his eyebrows. "Yes. The entrance between the divine land and the North region is guarded by dragons, and I heard that Dragon Sovereign personally set up a barrier at the entrance. There's no way we can pass through." The old man in straw sandals and the others also frowned. "It's just a barrier, what's there to be afraid of? I have a heaven-defying artifact now, can't I just kill my way to the divine land?" Madman's face was full of disdain. Sovereign Beast and the others were stunned. This fellow was indeed an out-and-out lunatic. "But before that, I have to go to a place first." Madman muttered. "Where?" Sovereign Beast and the others looked at him suspiciously. "An inconspicuous place." After Madman finished speaking, he flashed out of the land of the undead like a bolt of lightning. Then, he activated the altar and disappeared with his group. About 100 breaths passed. In the east of the northern region, above a very ordinary mountain range, Madman and the others appeared out of thin air. The mountain was overgrown with weeds and shrubs. Traces of ferocious beasts could be seen everywhere, but not a single one of them was stronger than a battle saint. This was a very inconspicuous place. But right below it was a small valley, and in the valley sat a small wooden building. However, when the madman looked at the small wooden building, he frowned. Madman flew down and looked around the small wooden building. His brows furrowed even tighter. "What is it?" Venerable Beast was suspicious. "I remember that this place used to be quite clean. Why is it so messy now? There are even weeds on the ground. Look under the eaves, there are spider webs." Madman said. Venerable Beast and the others looked over and found that this place indeed seemed to have been empty for a long time. Madman looked at Mulu and shouted, "Old man?" However, there was no response from inside the wooden building. Madman walked to the front of the wooden building and pushed open the door. Dust immediately fell down. Madman waved his hand and walked into the wooden building. The furniture in the room was neatly arranged, but it was also covered in dust. Madman walked to the table and touched it. The dust on the table was a millimeter thick. "Where is he?" Madman frowned and shouted, "Old man?" But there was still no response. "Stop shouting. This place has obviously been abandoned for a long time." Venerable Beast walked to Madman's side and said. Madman said angrily, "Damn old man, why didn't you say anything when you left? Is this person very important to you?" Venerable Beast was suspicious. "My heaven-defying divine art was given to me by him. Do you think he is important?" Madman said. Venerable Beast's pupils shrank. To be able to give a heaven-defying divine artifact to Madman, just how strong was this person? Help me look around and see if there are any letters or something like that. Madman looked at Venerable Beast and Yang Li and said. As for the straw sandal old man and the others, they stayed outside and didn't come in. Okay. Beast Emperor and Yang Li nodded. The three immediately rummaged through the room and began to search. Soon, Yang Li opened a drawer and a trace of suspicion appeared on his face. Inside the drawer, there was an envelope. Yang Li picked up the envelope and flipped it over. There were a few crooked words written on it. Old man, keep. Old man? Yang Li was slightly stunned and said, Little madman, come over and take a look. There is an envelope with Old Man written on it. Old Man? Madman was in another room. As soon as he heard Yang Li's voice, he immediately ran over and grabbed the envelope. Yes, this is the old man's handwriting. I used to call him Old Man too. Madman was pleasantly surprised. Venerable Beast also walked in and said, Then open it and take a look. Maybe it is for you. Madman opened the envelope and took out the letter, but there wasn't much content on it. There was only one sentence. Little madman, I am going to travel the world. See you again if fate wills it. Damn it, you still have the mood to travel the world? Madman immediately cursed. When Venerable Beast and Yang Li heard this, the corners of their mouths couldn't help but twitch slightly. After all, he was the one who gave him a heaven-defying technique. Couldn't he be a little more respectful? It seems that this trip was in vain. Madman shook his head and crushed the letter. There was a trace of disappointment on his face. Then what should we do now? Yang Li looked at him and asked. Let's go to Ninth Heaven Palace. Qin Feiyang came to the northern region. He will definitely go to Ninth Heaven Palace. Let's go ask. Madman said. The two nodded. Ninth Heaven Palace. Heaven Stairway. Elder Wei sat cross-legged at the bottom of the Heaven Stairway as usual, guarding Ninth Heaven Palace. The disciples coming and going looked at him with respect in their eyes. Swish. But suddenly, Elder Wei opened his eyes. Two rays of light burst out from his eyes as he looked up at the sky. This action startled the disciples passing by. It was also at this time. A group of people descended in the void above. A terrifying aura suddenly shrouded the mountain peak. Who is it? Their aura is so strong. The disciples who stopped on the mountain peak and the heaven stairway were instantly shocked. But when they looked up, they couldn't help but be stunned. Senior brother Madman? Elder Wei was also stunned. He then stood up and smiled. This old man was wondering who it was. I didn't expect it to be this little madman. Hee. Madman grinned and landed on the mountain peak. He swept his gaze at the disciples and said, What are you looking at? Scram. The group of disciples immediately fled in panic. So impressive? Beast Venerable and the others were stunned. Madman said proudly, What a joke. Not to mention the disciples of Ninth Heaven Palace, even in the entire northern region, who wouldn't tremble in fear after hearing this old man's name? Not ashamed, but proud. Elder Wei rolled his eyes. Madman chuckled and asked, How is the old man? Pretty good. Elder Wei nodded. The old man now was naturally referring to the Grand Elder. Then I won't go see him. Madman waved his hand and asked, Has Qin Feiyang been here before? Yes. He also gave us a lot of divine artifacts, divine arts, spirit veins, and crystal veins. Elder Wei nodded with a smile. He also gave you spirit veins and crystal veins? Madman was stunned. Yes. Elder Wei nodded. Madman said, At least he still has a conscience. What about now? He returned to the divine land a long time ago. Elder Wei said. Isn't he courting death by going to the divine land now? Madman raised his eyebrows. Elder Wei said, I heard it's for Shengguanqiu. Shengguanqiu? Madman was stunned. Yes. Shangguanxiu went to the Divine Land and is still in the treasure pavilion. Elder Wei said. What the hell? Isn't this nonsense? Madman's expression suddenly changed. Qin Feiyang has already gone back. I don't think there will be any changes. Elder Wei said. You have no idea how strong the dragons are. Madman raised his eyebrows and said, Okay then, I'll go back to the Divine Land now. So soon? Elder Wei was stunned and said, It's not easy for you to come back. Why don't you stay for a few more days and talk to your grandfather? What's there to talk about? Madman pursed his lips. Elder Wei smiled bitterly and nodded. Okay. By the way, Qin Feiyang said that you received the inheritance in the Nether King's Hell. Did you get it? Of course. Madman smiled proudly and said, Now I have mastered 2 kinds of law powers. So powerful? Elder Wei was shocked. Madman said, Are you kidding? How can the number 1 genius of the northern region not be powerful? Shameless. Who gave you the courage to call yourself the number 1 genius of the northern region? Elder Wei glared at him. I called myself that. Can't I? Madman chuckled. Elder Wei shook his head helplessly and waved his hand. Go, go. Young people should explore the outside world. But remember, come back when you have time. Okay. Also tell the old man for me. He's already so old. Don't work too hard. Madman said. Got it. Elder Wei nodded. Let's go. Madman turned to look at Beast Venerable and the others and said. Swish. At that moment, a group of people rose into the air and flew towards the Sky Dragon Sea, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Looking at Madman's back, Elder Wei's face was full of smiles. One was Qin Feiyang, and the other was a madman. Both of them were young people with boundless prospects. Swish. At this moment, a figure ran down the sky stairway. It was the Grand Elder. Where is he? The Grand Elder glanced at the peak and asked Elder Wei. Who is it? Elder Wei was suspicious. Of course, it's my grandson. The Grand Elder said. It's him. Elder Wei pretended to be enlightened and said indifferently, he left. What? He left? The Grand Elder was stunned and asked, where did he go? The Divine Land. Elder Wei said. He went to the Divine Land just like that? The Grand Elder was stunned. Otherwise? Elder Wei looked at him suspiciously. The Grand Elder said, shouldn't he come to visit me before leaving? Maybe it's something urgent. Elder Wei held back his laughter and said. No matter how urgent it is, it can't be that short of time, right? What a heartless bastard. The Grand Elder was so angry that his nose was crooked. When he heard the news that Madman had returned, he immediately ran over. But in the end, he had already left. Don't be angry. He asked about your situation and asked me to tell you not to work too hard. It's time to enjoy life. Elder Wei said with a smile. Really? The Grand Elder looked at him suspiciously. Really? Seeing that he left in such a hurry, I guess the situation in the Divine Land is really not good. Elder Wei looked up at the Sky Dragon Sea with a trace of worry in his eyes. Chapter 2886. Above the Sky Dragon Sea, a group of people flew as fast as lightning. It was Madman and the others. Suddenly, the Madman stopped, turned around, and gazed at the Beast Emperor. I heard that you possess an Exalt-grade artifact that can teleport through space. Yes. Beast Emperor nodded. Then quickly take it out and take us to the Divine Land. Madman said. This artifact can directly teleport us to the Divine Land. But back then, before the Nether King's Hell opened, Qin Feiyang and Hui Yi brought a heaven-defying artifact into the inner sea. At that time, this artifact had already been snatched away by them. Beast Emperor smiled bitterly. Ah! Madman was stunned. Beast Emperor said, otherwise, would have taken it out long ago. You are really unlucky. Of all people to provoke, you had to provoke them. Madman shook his head. Beast Emperor heard this and the bitter smile on his face became even stronger. Madman looked at the end of the Sky Dragon Sea and sighed. Then it seems that we can only fly to the divine land. With my cultivation, it won't take long. Beast Emperor said proudly. Madman smiled. Indeed. Beast Emperor was at the great success imperishable realm and also had a supreme auxiliary divine art. If they rushed at full speed, it would only take a few days. Then let's go. The straw sandals old man urged. Boom. However, at this moment, the sound of battle suddenly came from the front. It was normal to have battle sounds in the Sky Dragon Sea. Because many people in the North region like to enter the Sky Dragon Sea to train. Especially the disciples of Nine Heaven Palace. The Heavenly Dragon Sea was their training ground. So logically speaking, Madman wouldn't care. But when Madman sensed the aura of battle, he couldn't help but be stunned. Then, he flew in the direction of the battle fluctuations. What? Beast Emperor and the others chased after him. I met an acquaintance. Madman said without turning his head. Acquaintance? They were slightly taken aback, but when they thought about it, they understood. Madman was originally from the North region, so he must have many acquaintances. Soon, a young man entered their sight. The young man was about 20 years old. He was tall and straight, but at this moment, he was in a sorry state. There were more than a dozen sea beasts surrounding him and beating him up. His body was covered in wounds. Especially on his back, there was a ghastly claw mark. His flesh had been torn off, and blood was gushing out. This kid is crazy. Madman frowned. The youth's cultivation was only a 3-star combat emperor. However, those sea beasts were all 9-star combat emperors. Their strength was not on the same level at all. Who is he? Venerable Beast was suspicious. His name is Long Tianyu. He's quite fated with me and Qin Feiyang. Madman whispered. Fate brought us together? Sovereign Beast was taken aback. Yes. Back then, Qin Feiyang and I were ordered to investigate this kid's background. Because in the past, he did not have a very shocking talent for cultivation. However, one day, he suddenly transformed and became a genius. Later on, according to our investigation, it turned out that he took a pill and opened the door of potential. It was because of him that we found the Grey Castle. The Grey Castle is a heaven-defying divine artifact from the previous era. Later on, the Grey Castle followed Qin Feiyang. We also brought Long Tianyu to Nine Heaven Palace. Since then, he has been staying in Nine Heaven Palace. Madman said. Grey Castle? Sovereign Beast frowned. This Grey Castle is very strong. However, according to Qin Feiyang, it disappeared without a trace after entering Divine Prefecture. I wonder where it is now. I wonder if this Long Tianyu knows? Madman muttered. Sovereign Beast said, how could a brat like him know? His relationship with the Grey Castle is very good. The Grey Castle also likes him very much and treats him like a grandson. Perhaps sometimes when chatting, they inadvertently mentioned it to Long Tianyu. Madman said. Then let's go ask him. Sovereign Beast said. During the conversation, Long Tianyu was in danger. He was about to lose his life under the fangs of those sea beasts. However, just as Madman was about to rescue him, Long Tianyu suddenly erupted with a monstrous aura. His hair and eyes instantly turned blood red. What's going on? Madman and the others were stunned. However, at the same time, Sovereign Beast's eyes were filled with strong killing intent. Immediately after, an even more shocking scene appeared. A surge of blood qi emerged from Long Tianyu's body and instantly drowned the dozen sea beasts. Roar! At that moment, the dozen sea beasts howled miserably. In just a few breaths, the dozen sea beasts turned into white skeletons. All their flesh and blood disappeared. How could this be? The straw sandals old man was surprised. This scene seems familiar. Little demon child muttered. Seems familiar. The green-robed old woman looked at little demon child suspiciously and suddenly thought of something. Li Feng, Shui Ling. That's right. It's Li Feng and Shui Ling. Little demon child's body trembled. Li Feng, Shui Ling, madman murmured as he looked at Long Tianyu. His eyes were filled with surprise. He knew Long Tianyu, but he didn't notice this side of him before. Looking at Long Tianyu again. After the dozen sea beasts died, Long Tianyu quickly returned to his original appearance. The blood color in his long hair and eyes disappeared. Looking at the skeletons of the dozen sea beasts, he seemed a little confused. Boom! Suddenly, a monstrous murderous intent erupted. Madman and the others were shocked and turned to look at Sovereign Beast. They saw Sovereign Beast staring at Long Tianyu with murderous intent in his eyes. At the same time, Long Tianyu was also startled and quickly turned his head. When he saw Madman, his face suddenly lit up with joy. Brother Madman. Long Tianyu didn't notice Sovereign Beast's murderous intent and ran to Madman with a face full of joy. Madman smiled and then stood in front of Long Tianyu. He looked at Sovereign Beast warily and said, "This might just be a coincidence." Coincidence? Sovereign Beast smiled ferociously and said, "The aura he just released is clearly the aura of the Blood Ancestor." What? The aura of the Blood Ancestor? Little Demon Child and the others looked at Long Tianyu in surprise. Could this little guy be the Blood Ancestor's true body? The blood spirit that followed Li Feng was only a part of the Blood Ancestor's soul. And no one knew where the Blood Ancestor's true body was. Back then, Qin Feiyang and the others had interrogated the blood spirit, but the blood spirit didn't say anything. Madman couldn't help but frown. He had seen the blood spirit before. The aura that Long Tianyu suddenly released was exactly the same as the blood spirit's. But this was too outrageous. He knew Long Tianyu's origin very well. He came from a small mountain village and was just an ordinary young man. How could he be the Blood Ancestor? This must be a coincidence. This can't be a coincidence. Sovereign Beast roared and pushed Madman away. He grabbed Long Tianyu's neck and grinned. "I didn't expect you to be hiding in the northern region." Brother Madman, Long Tianyu panicked. Although he didn't know Sovereign Beast's aura was too terrifying. He couldn't fight back at all. "Sovereign Beast, calm down," Madman shouted. Sovereign Beast said in a deep voice, "There's no mistake. He's the Blood Ancestor." Impossible. When Qin Feiyang and I first saw him, he was only 13 years old. And he was only a 3-breath combat emperor. If he's really the Blood Ancestor, how do you explain this? Madman said. Sovereign Beast, don't be rash. We can talk it out. Little Madman wouldn't lie to you. Little Madman and Qin Feiyang already knew Long Tianyu when he was young, so they must know him better than you. Even if there's a problem, we have to ask him first. The straw sandal old man and the others also tried to persuade him. Sovereign Beast was at the phenomenal imperishable stage, while they were only at the half-step imperishable stage, so it was impossible to stop him. Sovereign Beast glanced at Long Tianyu, then at Madman and the others, frowning. "Trust me. If he's really the Blood Ancestor, I won't let him go," Madman said. He had the ability to stop Sovereign Beast. After all, he had the Blood Demon Tower, a heaven-defying divine artifact. But now, Sovereign Beast was one of them, so there was no need to make such a big fuss. Sovereign Beast's expression changed. But in the end, he let go of Long Tianyu. Long Tianyu immediately ran behind Madman and looked at Sovereign Beast with a face full of fear. Seeing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Madman also let out a long sigh, turned to look at Long Tianyu, and snorted. Weren't you very brave before? How dare you talk back to me? Brother Madman, is this the same? In front of you, no matter how much I talk back, you won't really kill me. But Long Tianyu looked at Sovereign Beast again, and the fear on his face was even stronger. Madman rolled his eyes and said, let's get down to business. What happened to you just now? Just now? Long Tianyu was stunned. Madman said, why did you become like that when you were killing those sea beasts? So that's what happened. Long Tianyu suddenly understood and shook his head. I don't know. How can you not know? Madman frowned. I really don't know. At that time, my mind was blank. When I woke up, the sea beasts had already been killed. And this is already the second time this has happened. Long Tianyu said. The second time? Madman was stunned. And half a year ago, it also happened once. At that time, I was also training in the Sky Dragon Sea and was targeted by a few people with ill intentions. They ambushed me and seriously injured me. I thought I was dead for sure. But just like this time, my mind suddenly went blank. When I woke up, those people had already inexplicably turned into bones. Long Tianyu said. Madman frowned. In other words, even you don't know about this change? Long Tianyu nodded. He shouldn't be lying. Because I noticed that when he woke up, there was indeed a trace of confusion in his eyes. The green-robed old woman said. Sovereign Beast said coldly, maybe he discovered us long ago and deliberately pretended. I didn't pretend. Long Tianyu looked at Sovereign Beast and said with grievance. Humph. Sovereign Beast snorted. Madman glanced at Long Tianyu and then looked at Sovereign Beast. I think he really didn't pretend. How do you know? Sovereign Beast frowned. Chapter 2887. The madman said, because Qin Feiyang read his memories back then. Read his memories? Sovereign Beast frowned. Qin Feiyang has mastered a kind of control technique called the puppet art. This puppet art can forcibly read the other party's memories. So, if he really is the blood ancestor, Qin Feiyang would have already discovered it. Because other things can be covered up, but memories can't be erased. The madman said. The old man said, if the puppet art does have this ability, then he definitely isn't the blood ancestor. Sovereign Beast said angrily, then how do you explain his previous changes? This is a bit strange. The madman nodded. Long Tianyu said suspiciously, Brother Madman, what are you talking about? What blood ancestor? Don't interrupt when adults are talking. The madman glared. Long Tianyu lowered his head and muttered, I'm not a kid anymore, okay? It had been more than 200 years. Did they still think he was that kid? The madman pondered for a while and looked at Sovereign Beast. How about this? We'll take him to the God's land and let Qin Feiyang read his memories again. That's a good idea. Let's confirm it again. The old man and the others nodded. Sovereign Beast was silent for a moment, looked at Long Tianyu gloomily, and nodded. Okay. Then let's go. The madman said. Sovereign Beast waved his hand and swept up a group of people before flying away like lightning. He glanced at Long Tianyu from time to time, which made Long Tianyu feel very uncomfortable. He had been following the madman and didn't dare to leave his side. Long Tianyu whispered, Brother Madman, are you really going to take me to the God's land? Yes. The madman nodded. Then, when you disappeared, were you in the God's land? Long Tianyu asked. Yes. The madman nodded again. How did you enter the God's land? I heard that the entrance to the God's land is guarded by dragons. Long Tianyu was curious. Why do you have so many questions? The madman frowned. Okay. I won't ask. But, shouldn't you tell the temple master before you take me to the divine land? Long Tianyu said. The palace master he was referring to was Shangguan Fenglan. This was because Shangguan Fenglan had been taking care of him all these years. It could be said that he was being taken care of as if he was a child. No need. I'm too lazy to run back. Madman shook his head. The heavenly dragon's sea was unable to transmit messages, and it was also unable to activate the teleportation altars. Running around was indeed troublesome. Long Tianyu hurriedly said, that hall master doesn't know that I'm with you. Seeing that I didn't return, he will definitely be worried. Worried? He's busy with work, how would he have the time to worry about you? Madman pursed his lips. Long Tianyu had a helpless look on his face. He was indeed a madman who did things his own way. Madman glanced at Long Tianyu, then looked at Zun Shou and said, wait. Venerable beast stopped. Madman swept his gaze over the sea below and waved his hand, causing the waves to surge. Following closely. A sea beast in the ninth heaven realm charged out menacingly. But as soon as he saw the madman, his pupils shrank and he turned around to flee. Madman's great name was not only in the nine heavens palace, but also in the outer region of the Sea of Heavenly Dragons. Stop! Madman shouted. The sea beast's body stiffened as he turned to look at Madman. Sorry, I really didn't know it was you. Can you stop tormenting me? Madman's face darkened as he said angrily, am I that scary? This, the sea beast laughed embarrassedly. Madman rolled his eyes and said, go to the Nine Heavens Palace and tell Shangguan Fenglan that I brought Long Tianyu to the divine land. So it's just a message. The sea beast let out a sigh of relief and said with a flattering smile, okay, I'll go right away. Then he turned around and flew toward the Nine Heavens Palace. Even sea beasts are so afraid of you. Just how much of a bastard were you in the northern region? The enchanting woman in the golden-clothed middle-aged man's arms laughed. So. Madman laughed dryly. Several days later. In front of a grand stone door, a group of people walked over on the waves. It was Madman and the others. This stone door was the entrance to the divine land. When Madman and the others arrived in front of the stone door, they found that there were no dragons guarding the other side. What's going on? Sovereign Beast couldn't help but frown. As one of the dragons, he knew better than Madman and the others that the entrances to the four seas were guarded by dragon sovereigns. But now, there was no one in the surrounding seas. It is a bit strange. Madman nodded and waved his hand. A wisp of divine power appeared and blasted toward the stone door. Buzz! A milky white light screen suddenly appeared and blocked Madman's divine power. As expected, it was set up by Dragon Sovereign himself. The straw sandals old man muttered. This light screen emitted Dragon Sovereign's aura. Humph. Madman snorted and shouted, Blood Demon Tower, break it for me. Dragon Sovereign's cultivation was at the peak imperishable realm, so even Beast Sovereign couldn't break this light screen. Only a heaven-defying divine artifact. Clang! The Blood Demon Tower flew out of his body and smashed into the light screen. Accompanied by a crisp cracking sound, the light curtain immediately shattered. At the same time, the Longzuan in the Dragon Palace suddenly opened his eyes. Mother, what's wrong? There was a woman beside him. It was Princess Dragon. She looked suspiciously at Dragon Sovereign. The barrier at the entrance to the North Sea was forcefully broken. Dragon Sovereign said in a deep voice. It must be Qin Feiyang. Princess Dragon said angrily. Qin Feiyang, Dragon Sovereign murmured as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Then he closed his eyes without a word. Even if the barrier was broken, she couldn't do anything about it. Not to mention that the 4 heaven-defying divine artifacts had already sealed the inner sea. Even if they weren't sealed, there was no point for her to rush over. The reason for that was because the current her was unable to stop Qin Feiyang. As for the barrier, there was no need to repair it. After all, if it could be broken once, it could be broken a second time and a third time. So instead of wasting time, it was better to comprehend the power of laws. The entrance. Madman and the others stepped into the North Sea. After confirming it several times, they found that there really weren't any dragons guarding this place. What was going on? They rushed to Holy Dragon City with a stomach full of doubts. When they arrived at Holy Dragon City, they immediately felt something strange. Because in Holy Dragon City, they didn't sense the aura of the dragon's messenger. And there seemed to be a lot of discussions about Qin Feiyang and the dragons. No way. The dragons have been sealed? When the group of people entered the Holy Dragon City and asked around, they found it unbelievable. Originally, they were worried about Qin Feiyang's current situation, but they never expected that the dragons would be forced to hide in Divine Dragon Island. Buzz. Black Tortoise World. Qin Feiyang, who was in seclusion, suddenly heard a sound from the image crystal in his arms. Qin Feiyang slowly opened his eyes as a wisp of suspicion flashed through his eyes. Those who were familiar with him knew that he was in seclusion, so why would someone send him a message? He took out the image crystal and a phantom immediately appeared. Senior brother Madman? Qin Feiyang immediately got up and looked at Madman's phantom in astonishment. A moment later. Inland Sea, coast. Madman and the others arrived above the coast. Qin Feiyang hurriedly went up to greet them. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Madman laughed. Too surprising, too surprising. Qin Feiyang glanced at them and asked, how did you guys come back? Do you even need to say it? Of course, I unleashed my invincible prowess and slaughtered my way back. Madman said proudly. You're not serious. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes, then looked at Long Tianyu and asked in surprise, you are? Long Tianyu said, Qin Dage, I'm Long Tianyu. Long Tianyu? Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment before the figure of a young man appeared in his mind. He smiled and said, no wonder you look familiar. I didn't expect you to be so tall. Long Tianyu said, it's been more than 200 years since you left the northern region. More than 200 years, Qin Feiyang murmured and shook his head. Time really flies. Back then, you were just a 13-year-old kid. Long Tianyu scratched his head and laughed dryly. Greetings, young Master Qin. The straw-sandal old man and the others looked at each other and bowed to Qin Feiyang. If not for Qin Feiyang's magnanimity, they wouldn't have been able to enter the temple, let alone obtain the inheritance. Yes. Qin Feiyang smiled and nodded. Then, he brought Madman and landed beside the Mermaid Emperor. He smiled and said, Senior brother Madman, let me introduce you. This is the Mermaid Emperor. Greetings, Senior. Madman cupped his hands. The Mermaid Emperor sized Madman up and smiled. I've heard of your name long ago. Now that I've met you, you're indeed an outstanding talent of the younger generation. Of course. Madman held his head high. Can't you be more humble? Qin Feiyang was speechless. I want to be humble, but my strength doesn't allow me. What can I do? Madman said. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. The Mermaid Emperor also laughed and looked at Revered Beast. He cupped his hands and said, Greetings, Lord Revered Beast. Yes. Revered Beast nodded coldly. The Mermaid Emperor didn't mind. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, You guys go to the Black Tortoise World to chat. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the straw-sandal old man and the others. He smiled and said, Seniors, are you willing to go to the Black Tortoise World? I can't ask for more. The enchanting woman smiled. Qin Feiyang smiled and led the others to descend into the sky above the ancient castle. This, immediately. The straw-sandal old man and the others were shocked. These herbs, the energy of the crystal vein and soul vein, it was too shocking. This was the first time revered beast had entered the black tortoise world. The shock on his face couldn't be concealed. Needless to say, Long Tianyu was dumbfounded. Qin Feiyang looked at Yang Li and smiled. Yang Li, the wisp of soul you left outside is now inside the ancient castle. I can already feel it. Yang Li smiled. With a thought, the wisp of soul flew out of the ancient castle and merged into the top of his head. So it's a rare guest. Suddenly, a hoarse laugh sounded. Revered beast was slightly stunned and immediately looked down. He saw Yi Zhong standing in the courtyard beside the ancient castle, looking at them with a smile. Yi Zhong? Revered beast was stunned. He landed in the courtyard and said, I heard from the people in the Holy Dragon City that you have left the dragons. I didn't believe it, but I didn't expect you to really be in the Black Tortoise world. Chapter 2888. Can't help it. After all, I'm already so old. I have to find a place to enjoy the rest of my life. Yi Zhong smiled. Revered beast looked around and nodded. You don't say, this place is really suitable for retirement. Yi Zhong said, then we'll continue to be neighbors in the future? Sure. In the future, we can drink tea and chat when we have nothing to do. Life is so comfortable. Revered beast smiled. Can you pay attention to your impression? One is at the Great Perfection Undead Realm and the other is at the Perfection Undead Realm. They have heavy responsibilities, but they only want to retire. Aren't they afraid of being laughed at by the younger generation? Revered Cloud walked out and looked at the two with disdain. I'm already old. Yi Zhong shook his head. Yes, I may look young, but my heart is already old. Revered beast nodded. But suddenly, he stared at Yi Zhong with a trace of surprise on his face. Perfection Undead Realm? At the same time, Madman and the others also looked at Yi Zhong with surprise. I just broke through not long ago. Yi Zhong smiled. Revered beast's expression froze. This old thing actually broke through to the Perfection Undead Realm. Wait. Suddenly, his gaze trembled and he looked at Revered Cloud. Revered Cloud said indifferently, this revered one has also just broken through. Ah. Revered beast was stunned. Madman pulled Qin Feiyang's clothes and whispered, amazing, two Perfection Undead Realm experts. You must be joking. After all, they are our trump cards. Qin Feiyang laughed inwardly. Let's sit down and talk. Yi Zhong invited everyone to sit in the courtyard. Revered beast looked at Yi Zhong and Revered Cloud and shook his head. This 1 day and 1,000 years time array is indeed extraordinary. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and asked suspiciously, how do you know it's 1 day and 1,000 years in the Black Tortoise world? Revered beast said, of course, the guardian told us. So it's him. Qin Feiyang understood. The fire python had been to the Black Tortoise world before, so he knew about the Black Tortoise world's current time array. Qin Feiyang said, in that case, it was the fire python that sent you back? Yes. Sovereign beast nodded. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, it has been helping me so much. I don't know how to repay it in the future. Its attitude towards you is indescribable, so you must cherish it as a friend. At that time, when it appeared in the demonic god plaza and said that it was your friend, even I didn't dare to believe it. Sovereign beast shook his head. Qin Feiyang smiled, looked at Yang Li and the others, and asked, did you guys get the inheritance? Of course. Yang Li nodded. Sure. Qin Feiyang was delighted. Originally, we planned to stay in seclusion in the temple. After all, as you know, the temple also has a time array. But the fire python told us that the black tortoise world's current time array is even more powerful than the deity's halls. So it suggested that we don't waste time in the deity's hall and return to the ancient world to find you. Moreover, the small beast and the ice dragon weren't in the deity's hall, so it could help send us back. We thought about it and felt that it made sense, so we returned to the ancient world through the entrance of the first floor. Yang Li said. Qin Feiyang said, so, you guys just returned from the deity's hall today? No. We were rushing through the heavenly dragon sea and were delayed for a few days. Yang Li shook his head. Then how did you pass through the entrance of the heavenly dragon sea? Qin Feiyang asked. Little Madman used the Blood Demon Tower to blast open the barrier set up by Sovereign Dragon. Yang Li smiled bitterly. Qin Feiyang was stunned, glancing at Madman and said, that's indeed violent. If I can fight, I won't talk nonsense. Madman said indifferently. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, pointing at Long Tianyu, who was standing at the side, and asked, what about this kid? Why did he follow us? At the mention of Long Tianyu, Sovereign Beast's eyes flashed with killing intent. Madman and Yang Li couldn't help but frown. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang looked at the three of them suspiciously. It's like this. Yang Li explained the situation in detail. What? When Qin Feiyang heard this, he immediately stared at Long Tianyu, his eyes full of shock. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. Madman shook his head. Qin Feiyang looked at Madman, then at Sovereign Beast, and formed a puppet imprint with both hands. Qin Feiyang looked at Long Tianyu and said, bear with it, it will be over soon. Long Tianyu nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the puppet imprint entered Long Tianyu's body. Soon, the control was completed. Then, Qin Feiyang closed his eyes and read all of Long Tianyu's memories. Time quietly passed. If it was just reading a part of the memories, it wouldn't take too long. But to read all of the memories, it would take a lot of time. Fortunately, Long Tianyu was still young and didn't have much experience. If it were Yizhong, Cloud Sovereign, or Sovereign Beast, who were living fossils with rich experience, it would probably take 8 to 10 years to read all of their memories. About an hour later, Qin Feiyang finally opened his eyes. How is it? Madman and Sovereign Beast asked in unison. Qin Feiyang looked at the two and shook his head. There are no memories related to the blood ancestor. Madman heaved a sigh of relief. However, the venerable beast frowned and asked, then what was that change in him? I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Yizhong suddenly said, then why don't we test it? How? Everyone was stunned and looked at Yizhong suspiciously. His situation should only appear when he's in a life and death situation. We might as well force him into a corner and see what happens. Yizhong thought. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, we can try. Then I'll do it. Sovereign Beast suddenly stood up and rushed toward Long Tianyu with a terrifying murderous intent. Long Tianyu's expression suddenly changed and he instinctively ran behind Qin Feiyang and Madman. But Sovereign Beast directly used his pressure to imprison him. His eyes and face were as cold as ice. Because Qin Feiyang and the others had talked to each other through voice transmission, Long Tianyu didn't know that this was just a test. He thought that Sovereign Beast was really going to kill him. He fell into despair. And Sovereign Beast's murderous intent was real. If it weren't for the presence of Qin Feiyang and Madman, he would have killed Long Tianyu. This was his hatred for the blood ancestor. Qin Dage, brother Madman, save me. Long Tianyu desperately cried for help. In order to make this scene realistic, Qin Feiyang and Madman also looked indifferent. Go to hell. Sovereign Beast roared and his divine power suddenly surged and blasted toward Long Tianyu. How could a battle emperor block the attack of Sovereign Beast? A fatal danger and an aura of death instantly enveloped him. Just as Sovereign Beast's divine power was about to drown Long Tianyu, a monstrous bloody light suddenly appeared in Long Tianyu's eyes. The next moment, his hair and eyes turned blood red. Then, a terrifying bloody aura roared out of his body and rushed toward Qin Feiyang and the others. "Watch out!" Yi Zhong immediately shouted and rushed in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. His divine power surged and formed a barrier, trapping Long Tianyu and the bloody aura inside. "It really is the blood ancestor's aura." Qin Feiyang looked at Long Tianyu, who was inside the barrier. At this moment, Long Tianyu's aura was exactly the same as blood spirits. "You're courting death." Suddenly, Long Tianyu spoke. His voice, which was originally full of vigor, became hoarse. Those blood-red eyes stared at Qin Feiyang and the others like a demon god. "This voice, it's the blood ancestor." Sovereign Beast roared and rushed into the barrier to attack Long Tianyu. This time, he wasn't putting on an act. He was really going to kill him. "You?" However, Long Tianyu's face was full of disdain and he slapped at Sovereign Beast. Boom! The two of them collided in an instant, and a destructive aura immediately erupted within the barrier. Fortunately, Yi Zhong had broken through to the perfect imperishable stage and could forcibly suppress this fluctuation. Otherwise, this moment would have been enough to turn the entire Devil's Land into ashes. What's going on? The commotion here alarmed everyone in the Devil's Land. Everyone ran out and looked at Sovereign Beast and Long Tianyu in surprise. Who is this kid? He can fight with Sovereign Beast? Mu Tianyang, the demon ancestor, Mu Qing, and Dong Xingyang also came out and looked at Long Tianyu in shock. Seeing that Sovereign Beast was about to attack again, Yi Zhong quickly shouted, "Sovereign Beast, that's enough. No. Whether he is the blood ancestor or not, he must die." Sovereign Beast's eyes turned red. Yi Zhong frowned and stepped into the barrier. He grabbed Sovereign Beast and dragged him out. "Let go of me." Sovereign Beast roared. "Calm down. This matter needs to be investigated first," Yi Zhong said. "The aura is the same, and now even the voice is the same. What's there to investigate?" Sovereign Beast said angrily. "But don't you think it's strange? If he is the blood ancestor, why doesn't he have the blood ancestor's memory?" Yi Zhong said. "How would I know?" Sovereign Beast roared. "Enough." Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and looked at Sovereign Beast. "This matter is indeed strange. Calm down first and let's think about it together." Hearing Qin Feiyang's voice, Sovereign Beast's eyes trembled slightly. Then, he sat on the stone bench and looked at Long Tianyu gloomily. Inside the barrier. After the crisis was resolved, Long Tianyu returned to normal. This time, everyone noticed that after returning to normal, Long Tianyu's eyes were filled with confusion. It seems that he really doesn't know about the changes in his body. Yi Zhong whispered. "That's strange. Could it be that he is the blood ancestor's reincarnation?" Sovereign Cloud murmured. "Reincarnation?" Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. Although reincarnation is only a vague legend, it seems that this is the only explanation that makes sense now. Sovereign Cloud said. After returning to normal, Long Tianyu looked at Qin Feiyang and the others in fear again. "Don't be afraid. We were just forcing you. We wanted to see what you looked like after your transformation." Yi Zhong smiled and waved his hand. The barrier dissipated. "Forcing me?" Long Tianyu looked at the group in a daze. "You were quite brave back then. Why are you so timid now?" Qin Feiyang said. Long Tianyu smiled bitterly. Back then, he was just a newborn calf that was not afraid of tigers. How could it be the same as now? Chapter 2889. Madman glanced at Long Tianyu, then looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "When you read his memories, did you find the whereabouts of the Grey Castle?" "No. The Grey Castle didn't even mention entering the Divine Land to him." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Where do you think the Grey Castle is now? Madman frowned. I also want to know. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. The Grey Castle now appeared mysterious and unfathomable. Beast Sovereign looked at Qin Feiyang and Madman and asked, then how should we investigate? I think we can only get the answer by finding the Grey Castle. Qin Feiyang said. He knows the answer. Madman was stunned. Do you remember what I told you? When I read Long Tianyu's memories, I found the Grey Castle and took the initiative to find Long Tianyu. Qin Feiyang said. I remember. Long Tianyu wanted to find an opportunity and barged into the far west alone, but he was almost frozen to death. Later, the Grey Castle appeared and saved him. It even taught him battle techniques and cultivation. Madman nodded. That's right. At first, I thought the Grey Castle only saved him out of sympathy. But now that I think about it, it's not that simple. Think about it, why would a heaven-defying divine artifact from the previous era sympathize with a brat? More importantly, it even helped Long Tianyu open the door of potential. This is beyond the scope of sympathy. Qin Feiyang said. Now that you mention it, Madman frowned and pondered for a while. Now that you mention it, there seems to be something fishy. There were more than a dozen heaven-defying divine artifacts in the Black Tortoise world. So they knew the character of heaven-defying divine artifacts better than anyone else. It could be said that they were all cold to the extreme. It was impossible for them to sympathize with someone they didn't know, let alone a child. So I think the Grey Castle might have helped Long Tianyu because it knows something. Moreover, don't you think it's strange? The northern region is so big. Why did the Grey Ancient Castle choose to stay in the westernmost land, which is closest to Long Tianyu? Isn't this for the convenience of protecting him? Take care of him? Qin Feiyang said. Protect him, take care of him, Madman muttered. In the past, he didn't know about Long Tianyu's changes, so he didn't think too much about it. However, from the looks of it now, there was indeed something intriguing about it. Qin Feiyang heaved a long sigh. He looked up at the venerable beast and said, Don't worry. Long Tianyu will stay in the castle from now on. Let's wait until we find the Grey Castle. All right. I'll give you some face. But I have a request. Sovereign Beast said in a deep voice. Go ahead. Qin Feiyang smiled. The venerable beast said, Long Tianyu must follow me closely from now on. I'm not willing. Long Tianyu roared. You don't have a choice. If you don't agree, I'll kill you right now. The venerable beast glared fiercely. Long Tianyu's neck shrank back as a trace of fear appeared in his eyes. Kid, just follow the venerable beast. He's the strongest existence in the ancient world. You'll benefit from following him. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. But he wants to kill me, Long Tianyu hurriedly said. Don't worry. He won't kill you before he figures it out. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at the little demon child and the others. He asked with a smile, Guys, is the Black Tortoise world pleasing to your eyes? Look at what you're saying. The Black Tortoise world is probably the holy land of cultivation that everyone in the world dreams of. The old man smiled bitterly. What about you guys? Qin Feiyang smiled. The few of them looked at each other. The old man said, As long as you don't find us troublesome. Qin Feiyang laughed and cupped his hands. Then on behalf of everyone, I welcome your arrival. You're welcome. The few of them waved their hands. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang changed the topic. But the rules can't be broken. What rules? The few of them were suspicious. If you want to stay in the Black Tortoise world, you naturally have to earn my trust. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and a few slavery seals appeared. The few of them frowned. I know that you guys are supreme powerhouses. You have self-respect and pride. But please be considerate of me. We're about to go to war with the dragons. I don't want any unforeseen events to happen. Of course. I promise you. After the dragons are destroyed, if I'm still alive, I will return your freedom. Qin Feiyang said. The few of them were silent, as if they were questioning Qin Feiyang's words. What? Do you feel wronged? Don't be so shameless. Even this sovereign and the revered beast are controlled by the slavery seals. Who do you think you are? Supreme Cloud looked at them coldly. Ahem. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and hurriedly looked at Supreme Cloud. He said helplessly, Supreme Cloud, they are all guests. Be polite. Polite? Why haven't I seen you being polite to this sovereign and the revered beast? Supreme Cloud rolled his eyes. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. Don't dawdle. Either accept the control or scram. We don't care about half-step undying realm cultivators like you. Supreme Cloud looked at the few of them and said impatiently. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. This woman was really domineering. He then looked at the straw-sandal old man and smiled. Don't mind him. Supreme Cloud has a sharp tongue but a soft heart. Think about it. The few of them looked at each other again. The green-robed old woman asked, when the time comes, will you really return our freedom? In your eyes, I, Qin Feiyang, don't even have this much trust? If I were a despicable person, do you think the blood demons would trust me so much? In short, it's all in one sentence. If you trust me, then stay. If you don't, you can leave now. I won't make things difficult for you. Qin Feiyang said. Okay, this old one believes you. The green-robed old woman pondered for a moment and nodded. They all knew about the relationship between Qin Feiyang and the blood demons, so there was definitely no problem. This old man also believes you. The straw-sandal old man looked at the green-robed old woman and nodded. What about us? Little demon child looked at the burly man, the middle-aged man in golden clothes, and the enchanting woman. The enchanting woman smiled charmingly and walked to Qin Feiyang's side. She naturally took Qin Feiyang's arm and giggled. With such a handsome little brother, of course I have to stay. Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Madman also had a strange expression. She actually flirted with a young man in front of her man? But Yi Zhong and the others were not surprised. The middle-aged man in golden clothes did not seem to care either. This, Qin Feiyang hurriedly pushed the enchanting woman away and smiled. Senior, men and women shouldn't touch each other. The enchanting woman hugged Qin Feiyang's arm again and said with a smile, why are you calling me senior? It's so distant. Call me sister. Ha, Qin Feiyang laughed dryly, struggled to break free, and ran to Yi Zhong's side. The enchanting woman looked at Qin Feiyang bitterly and said, I won't eat you. What are you afraid of? Looking at the enchanting woman's eyes, Qin Feiyang had goosebumps all over his body. The enchanting woman turned her gaze to Madman and said with a smile, Little Madman, let me hurt you. Madman's face darkened. He looked at the middle-aged man in golden clothes and said, Can you watch your woman? I can't watch her. The middle-aged man in golden clothes shook his head. Madman was speechless. So calm, aren't you afraid of being cuckolded? Coquettish hoof. Little demon child cursed in a low voice and looked at Qin Feiyang. In that case, I will also stay and contribute to the destruction of the dragons. Thank you. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. With a wave of his hand, several slave seals disappeared into the top of their heads. The control was completed smoothly. The three Black Panther brothers. Qin Feiyang shouted. Whoosh! The three Black Panther brothers immediately ran over. Qin Feiyang said, arrange accommodation for these seniors. Okay. The three Black Panther brothers were busy again. Yi Zhong glanced at them and said, Feiyang, there are still some powerful masters in the Divine Prefecture. Should we summon them all? Forget it. The news of the dragons being sealed has long been spread. If they really want to, they should have taken the initiative to come to us. But now, none of them have come, which means they don't want to get involved. In that case, why should we force them? Besides, against the dragons, it's useless to have more people. We need elites. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and shook his head. That makes sense. Yi Zhong nodded. Qin Feiyang said, okay then, I will continue to cultivate in seclusion. Senior brother Feng Zi, you will also go into seclusion with me. Okay. In any case, I must participate in the battle with the dragons. I want to let them know that the Empyrean Palace is not to be trifled with. Feng Zi smiled coldly. Qin Feiyang smiled and prepared to leave with Feng Zi. Wait a minute. Beast Lord suddenly spoke. What? Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. Beast Lord waved his hand, and a blood river appeared. This blood contained an extremely terrifying evil power. This is? Qin Feiyang was surprised. This is the blood of all the blood demons. King Yu asked me to give it to you. Beast Lord said. Qin Feiyang patted his head and said, I almost forgot about this. Then, he looked at the blood river in the sky and said, but isn't this collection too fast? The Nether King Hell can't be teleported. With the speed of the blood demons, it's impossible to be so fast. It's the help of the fire python. It's the guardian of the third floor. It can go anywhere with just a thought. Beast Lord said. Qin Feiyang heard this and smiled bitterly. I owe it another favor. Then, he looked at Yi Zhong and said, Master, this blood is just in case. Help me find a place to protect it. Okay. Yi Zhong nodded. Then, Qin Feiyang and Feng Zi entered the medicine field and sat cross-legged on a spirit vein to cultivate. Outside. After the three Black Panther brothers arranged a place to stay, the Straw Shoe Old Man and the others immediately went into seclusion to break through to the initial imperishable realm. And they were all confident that they could successfully break through to the initial imperishable realm before the battle. Because they had been in the half-step imperishable realm for a long time. As for Long Tianyu, although he was very unwilling, he could only follow Beast Lord in fear. Beast Lord also seemed to be stimulated by Yi Zhong and Cloud Master, and was also working hard to break through to the peak imperishable realm. Chapter 2890. Day after day, year after year. Boom. On a certain day, a terrifying aura suddenly burst out from the ground under the herb field. In an instant, everyone was shocked. Everyone woke up from their seclusion and walked out of the cultivation rooms and courtyards to look at the herb field. Because the owner of this aura was Qin Feiyang. Without a doubt, Qin Feiyang's breakthrough was what everyone was looking forward to. Roar. Soon. Purple golden dragons roared as they burst out from the ground. Each of them was 1,000 feet long, and their bodies were emitting a blinding light. Why is there such a phenomenon? Everyone was shocked. Over the years, many people from the Black Tortoise Field had reached the half-step imperishable realm. But no one had ever seen such a phenomenon when they were breaking through. Roar. Suddenly, the purple gold divine dragons roared at the sky. With a monstrous dragon might, they soared into the clouds, as if they were going to pierce through the sky. Crack. Boom. At this moment, blood clouds rolled in the sky and thunder and lightning roared. This, everyone was shocked. Wasn't this the sign of a heavenly tribulation? Why would Qin Feiyang attract a heavenly tribulation when he broke through? Shwa. The little boy suddenly appeared and looked at the rolling blood clouds and flashing blood lightning in the sky with a serious expression. Why is there a heavenly tribulation? Fire Lotus rushed into the sky and asked the little boy. I don't know. The little boy shook his head and said, but I know that if this heavenly tribulation falls, the devil's land will be turned into ashes instantly. Fire Lotus's heart sank after hearing this. What's going on? At this moment, Qin Batian and Lu Jingyang also landed in the sky above the Devil's Land and looked at the sky with shock in their eyes. It's the heavenly tribulation caused by Fei Yang's breakthrough. Yi Zhong said in a deep voice. How is this possible? I've never heard of a heavenly tribulation when breaking through to the imperishable realm. Qin Batian said. This is the first time I've seen it. Yi Zhong said. What are you waiting for? Think of a way. The aura of this heavenly tribulation is even more terrifying than when I transformed into a 5-clawed golden dragon. Hua Yi and the 5-clawed golden dragon, who were comprehending the power of laws outside, also rushed back to the Devil's Land. Seeing this heavenly tribulation, the 5-clawed golden dragon immediately roared. Think of a way. Hua Yi glanced at him and said, the heavenly tribulation only recognizes Qin Fei Yang. What can we do? The 5-clawed golden dragon god's expression froze. Right at this moment, Qin Fei Yang and Madman emerged from the ground. Fuck, what a big battle formation. Madman's pupils shrank. Qin Fei Yang was also puzzled. He looked up at the little boy and asked, will the Black Tortoise realm be affected? The current strong cultivators of the Black Tortoise realm will not be affected, but the others are hard to say. For example, living beings, crystal veins, and spirit veins will definitely be destroyed. The little boy said. Then let's go out and transcend the tribulation. Qin Fei Yang decisively waved his hand and brought Qin Batian to the sky above the seashore. The sovereign divine realm had disappeared. Because the sovereign divine realm could only be opened for half a year each time. And it could only be opened once every 10 years. Boom. Crack. The heavenly tribulation also moved to the sky above the inner sea. The originally clear sky was instantly covered by blood clouds. Ear-splitting thunder and blood-red lightning roared in the sky like a primordial beast. What's going on? The Mermaid Emperor opened his eyes and looked at the sky in shock. At the same time, the people of the Holy Dragon City and the dragon race of the Divine Dragon Island also noticed this horrifying phenomenon. Ancestor, send me to the sky above Divine Dragon Island. Qin Fei Yang said in a deep voice. What do you want to do? Qin Batian was surprised. It's too late to go to the major seas now. In order to avoid harming innocent creatures, we can only go to the sky above Divine Dragon Island. Also, we can try to see if the power of the heavenly tribulation can break the barrier set up by Ice Dragon. Qin Fei Yang said. But, Qin Batian frowned. Divine Dragon Island was the territory of the dragons. If he ran to Divine Dragon Island now, wouldn't he be walking into a trap? Don't worry, as long as I don't enter the barrier set up by Ice Dragon, I can leave at any time. Qin Fei Yang said. All right then. Qin Batian nodded. Qin Fei Yang had the space-time gate and the demon ancestor's heaven-defying artifact. As long as he was prepared in advance, escaping was not a problem. Moreover, he could also be careful. He had mastered the space-time laws. As long as the sovereign divine realm was not opened, it would not be a problem to save Qin Fei Yang. Shwa. Qin Batian waved his hand and a crack appeared in the void. Qin Fei Yang did not hesitate and stepped into the crack. Boom. Crack. The next moment, in the sky above Divine Dragon Island, blood clouds covered the sky and thunder rumbled. Qin Fei Yang descended on Divine Dragon Island. Qin Fei Yang. Previously, dragons had already been alarmed and many of them ran out to check. So now, when they saw Qin Fei Yang appear, they were all shocked. Qin Fei Yang? It can't be. He actually killed his way into Divine Dragon Island in such a grand manner. This guy is too arrogant. Wait. How could he have the courage to come to Divine Dragon Island? Has he already stepped into the imperishable realm? Other dragons, such as the ancestral dragons, Wang Cheng, and other humans, immediately ran out when they sensed Qin Fei Yang's aura. Not good. This is the heavenly tribulation. Damn it, what is he doing? He actually brought the heavenly tribulation to divine Dragon Island. When they saw the tribulation clouds and lightning in the sky, the group of people suddenly changed color. Shwa! 3 figures appeared in the sky above Dragon Palace. It was Long Zun, the Prince of the Dragons, and the Princess of the Dragons. It's this bastard again. The Princess of the Dragons said angrily. Lord Long Zun, Prince, Princess, this is the heavenly tribulation. The ancestral dragons flew to the sky above Dragon Palace and looked at the 3 of them. What? Heavenly tribulation. The 3 of them were shocked. Mother, what's going on? Why is there a heavenly tribulation? The Princess of the Dragons looked up at the sky and asked in surprise. Judging from his aura, he should be breaking through to the half-step imperishable realm. The Prince of the Dragons whispered. Half-step imperishable realm? The ancestral dragons, revered dragons, and the Princess of the Dragons were stunned. Impossible. How long has it been since the last time? It seems to be only a dozen years. A dozen years, even if the Black Tortoise world has a time array, it's impossible. The Black Dragon ancestral dragon shook his head. The Prince of the Dragons said, but look, the aura he's emitting is indeed on the verge of a breakthrough. It's true. The ancestral dragons carefully confirmed and their expressions froze. Could it be that the Black Tortoise world's time array is more powerful than our divine Dragon Island? The Princess of the Dragons said. Impossible. Our divine Dragon Island's time array is 500 years a day. The Fire Dragon ancestral dragon said flatly. Shut up, all of you. The revered dragon said coldly, exuding a bone-piercing chill. He actually dared to come to the divine Dragon Island to undergo a tribulation? He simply didn't put the dragons in his eyes. On the coast. The Mermaid Emperor frowned and said, Emperor Qin, what's going on? Tribulation. Qin Badian said, his eyes full of worry. Tribulation? The Mermaid Emperor was stunned and asked in surprise, what tribulation? The heavenly tribulation to break through to the imperishable realm. Qin Badian said. The Mermaid Emperor was stunned and asked, is there a heavenly tribulation for the imperishable realm? No. Qin Badian shook his head. How strange. The Mermaid Emperor was surprised. At the same time, inside the Black Tortoise world, everyone had a worried look on their faces. Especially the Mermaid Princess, her hands were clenched together and her face was a little pale. Suddenly, the little boy waved his hand and a huge picture appeared in the void above. At that moment, everyone looked at the picture. On the screen was Qin Feiyang, who was outside. Nothing must happen to him. The Mermaid Princess murmured. Crack. Boom. The thunder became louder and louder. Blood-red lightning flashed in the tribulation clouds like giant pythons. The destructive aura was also getting more and more terrifying. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and glanced at the Dragon Island, then looked up at the sky and murmured, come on. But the heavenly tribulation didn't fall and was still brewing. All the lightning slowly gathered in the center of the tribulation clouds. After a while, a blood-red lightning more than 10 feet thick formed in the sky. The heavenly tribulation rolled and the terrifying destructive power flooded in all directions. This aura, it's already comparable to the power of the half-step imperishable realm. Yi Zhong's pupils contracted. But the key is that Fei Yang hasn't broken through to the half-step imperishable realm yet. This is fatal for him. Lu Zhengyang said. As soon as his voice fell, the blood-red lightning suddenly fell from the sky accompanied by an earth-shaking loud noise. So strong. Qin Feiyang's expression was also very solemn. As the person involved, he naturally knew the power of the heavenly tribulation better than others. He didn't dare to hesitate and decisively opened the heavenly god armor. However, in the face of this heavenly tribulation, the heavenly god armor, as a supreme deity technique, had no ability to resist at all. Even before the heavenly tribulation fell, Just the overwhelming heavenly tribulation and the fluctuations instantly shattered the heavenly god armor. Qin Feiyang's entire body also abruptly crashed downwards. Boom! The impact was too strong. Qin Feiyang directly smashed on the barrier above the divine dragon island and spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. Is it so terrifying? The heavenly tribulation hasn't even left, and just the heavenly tribulation has seriously injured him? The dragons and humans inside the barrier were all dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Did this guy offend the heavens? When others break through to the imperishable realm, they don't have heavenly tribulation, but he does? And it's so strong. This is clearly to erase him. A young man in the crowd spoke. It was Li Xiaofei. This is the price of arrogance. I've long disliked him. It would be best if he was killed by the heavenly tribulation, so that we don't have to take action. Some people gloated. And it wasn't just one or two people, but almost all the people and dragons. Not good, really not good. Qin Feiyang murmured. He stepped on the barrier and soared into the sky, activating the Wisdom King golden body. Boom! The heavenly tribulation finally hit him, and the Wisdom King golden body was instantly broken. Even with Qin Feiyang's temperament, he couldn't help but scream and crash into the barrier again. The barrier set up by the ice dragon was indeed extraordinary. Even in the face of such a violent impact, it didn't tremble at all. But Qin Feiyang was fatally injured. Chapter 2891. One had to know that the power of this heavenly tribulation had reached the half-step imperishable level. Although the Wisdom King golden body could block a fatal blow, the imperishable realm was different from the other realms. Against the imperishable realm, a divine art like the Wisdom King golden body was not very effective. Just the first heavenly tribulation had cracked Qin Feiyang's body, like a spider web, and blood flowed out. Rumble. The second heavenly tribulation was already brewing. Qin Feiyang also hurriedly took the life divine pill to heal his injuries. Moreover, he took off the universe ring and sent it to the castle, so that it would not be destroyed by the heavenly tribulation later. If every heavenly tribulation is this strong, then he will definitely die. Ancestral Dragon sneered. Isn't that better? We don't have to fight again. It seems that even the heavens are helping us. The other ancestral dragons were gloating. The dragon prince smiled faintly. But will he really die under the heavenly tribulation? Your Highness, what do you mean? Why do you look like you don't want him to die? The ancestral dragons were stunned and looked at Prince Dragon suspiciously. Among the younger generation of the ancient world, only he is qualified to be my opponent. Of course I don't want him to die. Even if he dies, he should die in my hands. Prince Dragon said. Die in your hands? Dragon Sovereign was furious. Back then, I agreed to let you fight with him because I trusted you. But what happened in the end? Prince Dragon said, Mother, that was then, and now is now. What's the difference between now and back then? No. There is a difference. If he really passes the heavenly tribulation, then he will be an imperishable realm expert. And you are only at the initial stage of the imperishable realm. Dragon Sovereign snorted. Isn't this more interesting? The prince of the dragon clan smiled. Suppressing his cultivation in a battle was like a piece of wood, he felt nothing at all. Crack. The second heavenly tribulation finally descended after a while. A large part of the void collapsed. The power of this tribulation was slightly stronger than the first tribulation. Although it was not much stronger, it was undoubtedly a disaster for Qin Feiyang. Ding! Chirp! The 3 forms of the Divine Dragon Mantra and the 4 forms of the Fire Phoenix Mantra bombarded the heavenly tribulation. However, these 2 powerful supreme-grade divine arts did not have any effect at all and instantly collapsed. Return to ruin. Qilin Art. Guiyuan Sword Technique. All of Qin Feiyang's supreme-grade divine arts were unleashed and blasted towards the heavenly tribulation. Boom. Crack. However, the result was still the same. In the face of this heavenly tribulation, no amount of sovereign-grade divine arts would be of any use. Battle symbol formula. Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice, no longer daring to hide anything. The battle armor formed by the battle seal instantly appeared on his body. Rumble. The heavenly tribulation struck him as well. The battle character formula could neutralize 90% of the power. Even so, facing the bombardment of the heavenly tribulation, Qin Feiyang spat out blood and crashed into the barrier again. Fresh blood dripped from the armor. However, there was a trace of joy in Qin Feiyang's eyes. Although he was injured again, this time it was not as serious as before. It was still within the acceptable range. In other words, the battle symbol formula could block the heavenly tribulation. Since the battle symbol formula could block it, he might as well take the opportunity to use the heavenly tribulation to temper his body. He made a prompt decision. Qin Feiyang began to absorb the energy of the heavenly tribulation to temper his body. The stronger the heavenly tribulation, the better the effect. He could immediately feel that his body was rapidly becoming stronger. It can't be. This guy is really crazy. He actually used the heavenly tribulation to temper his body. Everyone noticed this scene as if they were looking at a monster. If others encountered such a heavenly tribulation, they would not even be able to save their lives. However, this guy used the heavenly tribulation to temper his body. Indeed. Monsters like this all did not play their cards according to common sense. Did you see that? The heavenly tribulation can't kill him at all. Instead, it will help him and make him stronger and stronger. The prince of the dragon clan said with a smile. Brother, can you wake up? What's in it for us if he becomes stronger? Princess Dragons looked at him unhappily. Of course there are benefits. The stronger he becomes, the stronger we dragons will be when we join the dragons. Prince Dragon said. Join the dragons? Princess Dragons was speechless and said, Are you still dreaming? Have you forgotten how you lost to him last time? Prince Dragons smiled faintly and said, Little sister, you have to remember one thing. Some things you see may not be true. Princess Dragons frowned and said, Are you trying to say that you didn't lose to him last time? Prince Dragon smiled but did not say anything. What an amazing effect. Back to Qin Feiyang. At this moment, he was shocked. The energy of this heavenly tribulation was actually about to upgrade his body to the level of a pinnacle divine artifact. Crack. The third heavenly tribulation descended. Qin Feiyang looked up, his eyes no longer dignified, but full of desire. Come on. He roared in his heart. This was the desire to be powerful. A powerful physical body was also an increase in strength. Wait. This third heavenly tribulation seems to have reached the peak of half-step undying. Each one is more terrifying than the last. So what if it's terrifying? Didn't you see Qin Feiyang's eyes now? There's no fear at all. What's the rush? There will be a moment of despair for him later. The dragon sneered. Boom. The third heavenly tribulation blasted Qin Feiyang's body again. With a bang, Qin Feiyang smashed into the barrier again, blood gushing out. The heavenly tribulation also followed him and blasted on the barrier. But the barrier still didn't tremble. It seemed that Qin Feiyang's wish was going to fail. This heavenly tribulation wasn't strong enough to break the barrier. At the same time, it also showed how terrifying Ice Dragon's strength was. With the battle formula protecting his body, Qin Feiyang saved his life and continued to use the energy of the heavenly tribulation to temper his body. Boom! Suddenly, a muffled explosion sounded from his body. His body, which was covered by the armor, was also emitting rays of light. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. Under the tempering of the heavenly tribulation, his body finally stepped into the peak level of strength. In other words, his current body was comparable to a peak-level divine artifact. He could fight a peak-level divine artifact with his bare hands. And it didn't stop, it was still strengthening. It seemed that this heavenly tribulation was a fortune for him. He's still laughing? Fuck, this is too infuriating. I really want to rush up and give him a few big slaps. Looking at Qin Feiyang's current appearance, the dragons below were indignant. Huh, I really didn't expect this. I thought it was a disaster, but it turned out to be a fortune. Inside the Black Tortoise realm. Looking at Qin Feiyang in the image, Hui Yi couldn't help but laugh. The others were also full of smiles. Their hearts that had been hanging in the air gradually settled down. But in the next moment, their hearts suddenly leaped to their throats. In the sky, the fourth heavenly tribulation had already begun to brew, and the aura it emitted had already surpassed the half-step undying realm and reached the strength of the initial undying realm. The half-step undying realm and the initial undying realm were two completely different concepts. Because the initial undying realm had the strength to kill the half-step undying realm, let alone Qin Feiyang, who was at the peak 9 heavens realm. In other words, the pressure that Qin Feiyang was facing instantly multiplied by countless times. It seemed that he was happy too early. The power of the fourth heavenly tribulation had already reached the initial undying realm, then what about the fifth? The sixth? Or even the seventh? It was unimaginable. Chapter 2892. At the same time. Outside. Have you noticed that the power of this heavenly tribulation seems to have become a lot stronger? It seems to be true. The dragons of Divine Dragon Island couldn't help but look at the fourth heavenly tribulation in surprise. The power of this heavenly tribulation has reached the initial level of indestructible. An indestructible realm expert of the dragons said. What? Initial level of indestructible. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. This is karma. You actually dare to use the heavenly tribulation to temper your body and act so arrogant. You've finally angered God. Qin Feiyang, why don't you continue laughing? Many dragons immediately mocked loudly. A bunch of clowns. Qin Feiyang looked at those dragons indifferently, his eyes full of disdain. Still arrogant? Wait and see, let's see who's the real clown. Even God wants to punish you. You can imagine how annoying you are. Isn't that right? So many people broke through to the indestructible realm and didn't have heavenly tribulation, only you have. Why do you think this is? The dragons were all mocking and ridiculing. Frogs at the bottom of a well. Don't you know that heavenly tribulation is getting stronger and stronger? But I can't blame you. After all, you're too useless and don't even have the qualifications to attract heavenly tribulation. Qin Feiyang said indifferently. You still call us useless? Preposterous. Preposterous. You came to our divine dragon island to undergo heavenly tribulation and still be so arrogant? Just you wait. Lord Dragon Sovereign, Lord Ancestral Dragon will not let you go. A group of divine dragons roared. Dragon Sovereign? Ancestral Dragon? You're only so promising. Divine dragons like you are not even qualified to be my opponent. Don't you think it's ridiculous to boast about your noble bloodline? After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he ignored these dragons and looked up at the sky. Bastard. God, quickly strike this bastard to death. Qin Feiyang's casual words made the dragons furious. Rumble. The fourth heavenly tribulation finally descended, with a diameter of over 60 meters. It looked like a ferocious blood dragon, carrying with it an apocalyptic heavenly might as it crazily charged towards Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's eyes were like torches. Without any fear, he waited for the arrival of the heavenly tribulation. Boom! The heavenly tribulation arrived like a comet. Puff! Qin Feiyang spat out a mouthful of blood and crashed into the barrier below like a meteor. Blood sprayed out from the armor like rain. However, the armor formed by the battle character incantation did not shatter. As expected of the heaven-defying divine art, Qin Feiyang was delighted. Even an initial imperishable heavenly tribulation couldn't threaten his life. He can even block that? That's too heaven-defying. After all, it's a heaven-defying divine art. It can't be looked at with ordinary eyes. The dragons were shocked. Qin Feiyang also began to use the energy of the heavenly tribulation to temper his body again. The effect was better than before. The strength of his body continued to soar, and the power in his body was like an erupting volcano. Without getting close, everyone could feel the destructive power. Not good. His body is getting stronger and stronger. Ancestral Dragon Black Dragon said in a deep voice. Yes. At this rate, I'm afraid his body will soar to the legendary level. The Fire Dragon Ancestral Dragon nodded. Boom. Soon. The fifth heavenly tribulation descended, and the aura it emitted was stronger than the fourth heavenly tribulation. Each heavenly tribulation is stronger than the previous one. Heavenly tribulation, I've lived for hundreds of thousands of years, but this is the first time I've seen it with my own eyes. But this Qin Feiyang doesn't seem to be unfamiliar with heavenly tribulation at all. Could it be that this isn't his first heavenly tribulation? The dragons were bewildered. Of course, this wasn't Qin Feiyang's first heavenly tribulation. Back then, because of the existence of the inner demons, even if he comprehended the profound meaning to become a god, he couldn't become a god. So at that time, he went against the heavens and fought against the righteous path, which led to the heavenly tribulation. The second heavenly tribulation. The inner demons' heavenly tribulation. Qin Feiyang couldn't just stand by and watch the inner demons in danger and block the heavenly tribulation for the inner demons. The third Fire Lotus's heavenly tribulation. The fourth Five-Clawed Golden Dragon's heavenly tribulation. Although he didn't go through the heavenly tribulation himself these times, he stepped forward and faced the heavenly tribulation. In other words, he went through the heavenly tribulation himself. And this was the fifth heavenly tribulation. Although he didn't know why the heavenly tribulation would descend when he broke through to the imperishable realm, it was indeed a good fortune for him. Because there was nothing more effective than heavenly tribulation to temper the body. And this heavenly tribulation was more terrifying than any of the previous ones. One had to know. In the previous heavenly tribulations, whether it was him, the inner demons or the Fire Lotus, they were all going against the heavens. For example, he proved his Tao by fighting. The inner demons broke the shackles of heaven and earth and formed a body. And the Fire Lotus cleansed the body of the undead and reconstructed the divine body. Every time, he was going against the heavens and changing his fate. How terrifying was a heavenly tribulation that went against the heavens and changed his fate. But this time, it was even more terrifying than the previous ones. It wasn't even on the same level. Could it be that the heavens really didn't like him? However, it didn't matter if the heavens were happy or not, as long as he could get benefits from it. Boom! The sixth heavenly tribulation also fell. The power of this heavenly tribulation had reached the peak of the imperishable realm. Although he had the battle formula to protect himself and only bore 10% of the damage, Qin Feiyang still didn't feel good. His body under the armor was almost torn apart. It could be said that if he hadn't merged with the fire of life, if he didn't have the self-healing ability of the bloodline power, he would probably have died even with the battle formula. This was the horror of the heavenly tribulation. It could be seen how far away he was from the supreme masters of the imperishable realm. Refine for me. The energy of the heavenly tribulation was absorbed by Qin Feiyang bit by bit, and the feeling of his body becoming stronger was very obvious. Boom! The seventh heavenly tribulation fell. This power had already surpassed the initial stage of indestructible and reached the initial stage of indestructible. Oh no! If this continues, the power of the heavenly tribulation will reach the peak of the imperishable realm. Qin Badian and the Mermaid Emperor had also arrived near the Divine Dragon Island. They stood in the void in the distance and watched this scene with worry on their faces. The atmosphere in the Black Tortoise realm was also very heavy at this moment. Everyone stared at Qin Feiyang on the screen and prayed silently in their hearts. Boom! The heavenly tribulation arrived in an instant, and a destructive aura spread in all directions. A sense of uneasiness emerged in Qin Feiyang's heart as he shouted, Dan Wang Kai, quickly give me the divine life pellet. Swish! In the next moment, hundreds of divine life pills appeared, and all of them were in the shape of 4 dragons. Qin Feiyang swallowed them all in one gulp, and the majestic life energy exploded in his body. Boom! At the same time, the heavenly tribulation struck his body. His armor was fine, but Qin Feiyang's body cracked on the spot. His divine soul was also severely injured. If it weren't for the battle character art, this attack would have turned him into ashes. At this moment, the divine life pills he had taken before played a key role. An enormous amount of life energy was constantly repairing his physical body. The 4 divine life pills with the dragon-shaped divine life pills had an enormous amount of life energy and saved his life. But the heavenly tribulation wasn't over. No one knew if the heavenly tribulation this time was 9 or 99. If there were only 9, Qin Feiyang was confident that he could survive, but if there were 99, then even Qin Feiyang didn't have any confidence. He couldn't care less about tempering his body now, because his injuries were too serious. And the 8th heavenly tribulation was already brewing. Crack! Following an earth-shattering explosion, the lightning was like a giant blood-colored python as it charged toward Qin Nan. Seeing this, Fire Lotus immediately looked at the little boy and said, "Let the heaven-defying artifact go out and help. Don't worry. Wait until he survives the 9th heavenly tribulation. If there are only 9 heavenly tribulations, we don't need to help." The little boy said. But, Fire Lotus frowned. "Don't worry. I won't let him die. Besides, he doesn't want to die. This heavenly tribulation came a bit inexplicably, maybe it's an opportunity for him. If we help, we might destroy this opportunity," said Yi Futian. The little boy said in a deep voice. "All right." Fire Lotus nodded, and then looked at the scene in the sky again, worried. Chapter 2893. Boom! Under everyone's gazes, the 8th tribulation struck Qin Feiyang with an apocalyptic aura. Poof! Qin Feiyang's body, which was already cracked, could no longer hold on and split into pieces. Oh no! Qin Badian and the Mermaid Emperor's expressions changed. Although with Qin Feiyang's current cultivation, it wouldn't be fatal for his body to be torn apart, one must know that there was still the heavenly tribulation after that. If they did not think of a solution, they would definitely die. But what could they do? The tribulation was getting stronger and stronger, and even they would not be able to face it. Rumble. The 9th tribulation began to brew. Strong winds and deafening thunder did not give Qin Feiyang any time to breathe. Although his body was torn apart, the armor formed by the battle symbol art was still there, so it did not disintegrate. The fire of life, the divine life pill, and the recovery ability of bloodline power were furiously repairing his body. Although the repair effect was impressive, the 9th tribulation was about to arrive, so it could not be completely repaired before the 9th tribulation arrived. No! I must endure it. The so-called creation is coming back from the dead. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with determination. Only in a hopeless situation could one find a glimmer of hope. Dan Wangkai, divine life pill. Qin Feiyang roared. Whoosh! Along with the emergence of divine light, tens of thousands of divine life pills appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang slammed his palm, and all the divine life pills were shattered and turned into pure energy. Then, his entire body was enveloped in the majestic life energy. His injured body was immediately repaired at a speed visible to the naked eye. For dragon-shaped core energies, Divine Dragon Island. An old man with white hair looked at Qin Feiyang with a strange light in his eyes. This person was Wang Chang. Although the ancient world was full of outstanding people, alchemists were extremely rare. As for divine-grade alchemists, they were even rarer. It could be said that every divine-grade alchemist was the object of everyone's reverence. But the young man in front of him was not only talented, but also had extremely high attainments in alchemy. It was no exaggeration to say that he was a once-in-a-century genius. To be honest, he still admired Qin Feiyang from the bottom of his heart. Such a young man dared to go against the dragons. One had to know. Even the big shots of the older generation trembled in fear and bowed down in the face of the powerful dragons. It could be said. Whether it was courage or other aspects, this young man was the best. Unfortunately, he took a path that no one was willing to take. And this path was destined to be full of difficulties. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the ninth tribulation was finally formed. With the power to destroy the world, it slammed down. Heaven and earth trembled at this moment. Even half of the divine land was drowned by the blood-red light of the heavenly tribulation. At this moment, countless living beings were looking at Divine Dragon Island. Who was transcending the tribulation? Such a terrifying heavenly tribulation was unheard of and unseen. At the same time, whether it was Qin Badian, the mermaid emperor, or the mermaid princess from the Black Tortoise world, their hearts were in their throats. The dragons were also nervous. However, they were nervously waiting for the heavenly tribulation to kill Qin Feiyang. In short, at this moment, except for the rumbling thunder, the entire sky above Divine Dragon Island was dead silent. I'm not afraid of the heavens. Come! Qin Feiyang suddenly roared, his eyes filled with unyielding determination as he rushed toward the tribulation. Clang! The kill technique was activated. The blood-red sword appeared, its terrifying edge toppling the mountains and overturning the seas, annihilating the sky. I'm not afraid of the heavens. Everyone's heart trembled when they heard that. Who else in the world dared to challenge the heavens? Clang! Qin Feiyang held the blood-red sword and rushed toward the tribulation like a god of death. Boom! In just an instant, the two met in the sky. The place immediately fell into silence. There was no sound at all. It was so quiet that it made one's hair stand on end. But in the next moment, an earth-shattering sound suddenly exploded. Then, a destructive shockwave erupted from the area. The blood-red light shrouded Qin Feiyang's figure in all directions. What's going on inside? Did Qin Feiyang survive? Everyone stared at the dazzling blood-red light, completely unable to see the situation inside. My life is up to me, not the heavens. Not even the heavens can take away my life. A sonorous and powerful roar suddenly sounded. Then, tens of thousands of sword chi erupted here. Clang! Accompanied by a deafening sound, a blood-red sword light with an apocalyptic edge shattered everything and blasted into the tribulation clouds in the sky. What? Everyone was dumbfounded. The blood-red light dissipated, revealing Qin Feiyang. At this moment, he was wearing a battle sword and holding a blood-red sword, standing proudly in the sky like a god of death. Damn! He actually destroyed the heavenly tribulation. This is too shocking. Kill formula, battle formula, as expected of a heaven-defying formula. Countless dragons were shocked. That thin figure once again fell into their eyes, like a huge mountain, becoming incomparably majestic. This is Qin Feiyang? Even the heavens have no right to interfere with his fate? Woo-woo, rumble, crack. Suddenly, a storm descended, and the thunder was louder than before. It seemed that Qin Feiyang's domineering, provocative, angered the heavens. Streaks of blood-red lightning, like giant pythons, crazily jumped in the tribulation clouds. It's not just 9 heavenly tribulations. Inside the Black Tortoise world, Fire Lotus looked at the sky and muttered to herself. The 5-clawed golden dragon said in a deep voice, if it's not 9, then it must be 99. 99. Hearing this, everyone's eyes trembled. Although the current Qin Feiyang's performance was extremely astonishing, one had to know that the heavenly tribulation was getting stronger and stronger. Could Qin Feiyang successfully withstand all the heavenly tribulations? We have to help. Fire Lotus looked at the little boy and said, I will let the heaven-defying divine artifact take action. The little boy said. Crack. After a dozen breaths of time, the 10th heavenly tribulation was brewed. Its diameter was more than 100 feet, and its destructive aura covered the sky and earth. Moreover, the power of this heavenly tribulation had reached the level of great success. Suddenly, the heavenly tribulation descended, and the entire sky above the divine dragon island instantly turned into chaos. But for this, Qin Feiyang was not afraid in the slightest, his eyes burning with unyielding flames. Clang! The blood-red sword seemed to have sensed Qin Feiyang's will, buzzing and trembling in Qin Feiyang's hands. A world-destroying sharpness was unleashed. If the heavens and earth cannot tolerate me, then I will use the sword in my hand to carve out a place for myself. Qin Feiyang roared, and the blood-red sword suddenly swept up a blood-red wave, slashing towards the heavenly tribulation. Boom! Heaven and earth trembled again. A terrifying destructive wave, like a torrent of beasts, surged in all directions. The entire inland sea was fragmented. The terrifying wave surged to the south, west, north, and east. Clang! The broken sword, Dragon Ball, thieving heaven realm, and Thousand Phoenix Mountain awakened, their divine power shook the heavens, forcibly sealing this wave. This seems to be Qin Feiyang's aura. Could it be Qin Feiyang is undergoing the heavenly tribulation? At this moment, the coast on all sides was already filled with a sea of people. They looked in the direction of the divine dragon island, their eyes filled with doubt and shock. At the same time, in the sky above the divine dragon island, the blood-red light dyed all directions. Qin Feiyang was like a mountain, standing tall in the sky, not moving at all. Strong. The dragons were shocked. They had never seen such a terrifying human. Even the heavenly tribulation could be shattered. Crack. Boom. The 11th, 12th, 13th, the heavenly tribulations continued to strike. Qin Feiyang held the blood-red sword and shattered the heavenly tribulations one after another like a god of war. Crack. When the 20th heavenly tribulation fell, its power had already reached the peak stage of the imperishable stage. Clang. The blood-red sword crazily attacked. But this time, it couldn't shatter the heavenly tribulation immediately. After a while, the heavenly tribulation finally shattered. But at the same time, cracks also appeared on the blood-red sword. Not good. Facing the power of the peak stage imperishable stage, the kill art has become useless. Qin Feiyang's eyelids twitched. Boom. The 21st, 22nd, when the 23rd heavenly tribulation descended, the blood-red sword shattered with a shattering sound, and the heavenly tribulation struck again. Boom. Qin Feiyang was sent flying on the spot and crashed into the barrier. The armor on his body also cracked inch by inch, and blood kept spurting out. Qin Feiyang's body was about to shatter. Qin Badian and the Mermaid Emperor both attacked. Divine power roared and blasted toward the heavenly tribulation. Boom. However, their help didn't work at all. Before their divine power could get close, it was shattered by the heavenly tribulation. What should we do? The two of them were burning with anxiety. The current heavenly tribulation was so powerful that even they couldn't shake it. Boom. The heavenly tribulation turned into a destructive wave and drowned Qin Feiyang. The armor formed by the fight art was finally shattered. Once the armor was shattered, Qin Feiyang was facing the heavenly tribulation. His body was immediately shattered. His divine soul was also being destroyed. Clang. In the nick of time, the sunset divine Biyao appeared and directly awakened. Its power fell and shrouded Qin Feiyang's divine soul. Thank you. Qin Feiyang looked at the Sunset Divine Bao gratefully. Don't thank me too early. The Sunset Divine Bao said. Clang. Axe, shield of thick earth, sky-breaking halberd, seven-star staff, dragon-slaying sword, sky phoenix saber, even snowflakes and blood blades appeared one after another. There was also the Blood Demon Tower. A total of 18 heaven-defying artifacts. He actually has so many heaven-defying artifacts. Looking at these heaven-defying artifacts, the dragons were shocked. Even the ancestral dragons couldn't help but panic. They knew that Qin Feiyang now had many heaven-defying artifacts. But they never expected that there were a total of 18 of them. Even the dragons in the past didn't have so many. Unknowingly, this person actually had such a terrifying foundation. The Sunset Divine Bao shouted, Qin Badian, Mermaid Emperor, leave the internal sea immediately. Qin Badian waved his hand, opened a space crack, and left with the Mermaid Emperor. The two of them were naturally not stupid. Hearing the Sunset Divine Bao's words, they already knew that these heaven-defying artifacts were preparing to unseal themselves and enter a state of full recovery. Because only in this way could they protect Qin Feiyang. Unseal. Protect Qin Feiyang with all your strength. As expected. The Sunset Divine Bao's artifact spirit roared. Chapter 2894. Clang. At that moment, the seals of the divine artifacts were unlocked, and a terrifying storm roared with this place as the center. However, they did not fully recover. Because if they fully recovered, the broken sword and the other divine artifacts might not be able to block their aura. If they were unable to block it, then the west, north, south, and east would definitely suffer catastrophic destruction. But even if they did not fully recover, the barrier that Ice Dragon had set up on Divine Dragon Island began to shake. At the same time, the Broken Sword, Thieving Heaven Realm, Thousand Phoenix Mountain, Dragon Ball, all sensed the aura of the Sunset Divine Bao and the other heaven-defying divine artifacts and blocked the coast with all their might. Qin Badian and the Mermaid Emperor appeared on the coast, looking at the crowd that was watching the show. He shouted, "What are you looking at? Hurry up and leave." Leave? Everyone was suspicious. Divine Dragon Island has a heaven-defying divine artifact that has been unsealed. If the broken sword does not seal this fluctuation, you will all die. The Mermaid Emperor shouted. A heaven-defying divine artifact has been unsealed. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed. Someone asked, Qin Emperor, is Qin Feiyang on Divine Dragon Island? Yes. He is undergoing tribulation. Qin Badian nodded. Then let's go. At that moment, everyone activated the altar and turned to leave. Above Divine Dragon Island, all the heaven-defying divine artifacts had been unsealed, except for Snow and Blood Blade. The Sunset Divine Bao shouted, "Why don't you release the seal?" "We want to release the seal. But our seal is not a self-seal, it is a seal imposed by others. With our ability, we can't break this seal." Snow smiled bitterly. The Sunset Divine Bao did not beat around the bush, and said, "All right, you guys help from the side." 18 heaven-defying divine artifacts protected Qin Feiyang. Rumble. Following a series of claps of thunder, the 24th tribulation descended upon the place. This sovereign will do it. The thick earth shield rushed into the sky, and instantly became a 10,000 zhang tall shield, shining with divine light, blocking half of the sky. Clang. The tribulation struck the thick earth shield. The thick earth shield was indestructible, blocking the tribulation. "How is it?" Sunset Divine Bao asked. "It's still within the acceptable range." The shield of earth responded with a loud and powerful voice. "That's good." The Sunset Bao heaved a sigh of relief. Rumble. Next. Tribulation after tribulation descended one after another, but they were all blocked by the shield of earth. It seems that the strongest power of this heavenly tribulation is only at the great perfection imperishable realm. Sunset Godly Bao said. Fu Tu said, if that's the case, then there's no problem at all. Very soon, the 50th heavenly tribulation descended. It was still the power of the imperishable stage. The shield of earth successfully blocked the attack. Qin Feiyang stood at the center of the various heaven-defying divine artifacts and said in a low voice, "You must not fully awaken." Why? The Sunset Bao was suspicious. That's because the broken sword that sealed the inner northern sea has also been sealed. It can't unleash its full power. If you all fully awaken, I'm afraid it won't be able to stop you. Qin Feiyang said. I see. The Sunset Bao was enlightened. Rumble. The 51st heavenly tribulation began to brew. A terrifying heavenly might poured down from the sky. Oh no. The Sunset Bao roared. The other heaven-defying divine artifacts also panicked. Go to the Star River. Qin Feiyang shouted. Because the heavenly might of the 51st heavenly tribulation had already surpassed the great perfection imperishable realm. This is the power of a half-step dominator. Longzuan's expression also changed at this moment. Half-step dominator. Hearing this, the ancestral dragons looked up at the heavenly tribulation with shock in their eyes. Go! The Sunset Bao roared. The 18 heaven-defying divine artifacts immediately took Qin Feiyang's divine soul and rushed toward the Star River. Very soon, they encountered a barrier. This barrier was set up by Longzuan. It covered the entire divine land. The axe expanded as it met the wind. Its sharp edge rolled out and directly tore apart the barrier. Then, the group of heaven-defying divine weapons carried Qin Feiyang's divine soul and plunged into the galaxy without looking back. Go! Longzuan waved his hand and took the ancestral dragons and the princes of the dragons into the sky. Mother, me too! The princess of the dragons shouted. You stay on Divine Dragon Island. Then, Longzuan flew toward the Star River like lightning. Qin Badian looked at the Mermaid Emperor and said, You continue to guard this place. I'll go to the Star River to take a look. Be careful. I'm afraid Longzuan will take the opportunity to attack you. The Mermaid Emperor warned. I'll be careful. Qin Badian nodded and also flew toward the Star River. The Star River. Bright stars were scattered all over the sky. However, with the appearance of Qin Feiyang, the vast starry sky immediately surged with blood clouds. In just a moment, everything in sight was covered by blood clouds. The 51st heavenly tribulation also came. Full recovery. The Sunset Bao roared. Clang. The shield of thick earth, which was floating above Qin Feiyang's head, suddenly shone brightly, illuminating all directions. Boom! The heavenly tribulation struck. The shield of thick earth suddenly sank. Cracks appeared on it. Although the cracks were very small, it meant that the power of a half-step sovereign was enough to pose a threat to a heaven-defying divine artifact. Help! The Sunset Bao also fully recovered. The bowstring automatically pulled back, and an arrow condensed. Shatter for me! The Sunset Bao roared, and the arrow shattered the sky and blasted toward the heavenly tribulation. Boom! Under the joint attack of two heaven-defying divine artifacts, the heavenly tribulation finally dissipated. We can still resist now, but if the heavenly tribulation continues to strengthen, I'm afraid even we will be helpless. Fu Tu said. When the time comes, you guys should leave. Qin Feiyang said. Fu Tu said, if we leave, what will you do? Qin Feiyang looked up at the tribulation clouds and said, We'll talk about it when the time comes. By the way, where's the ancient castle? Your physical body was destroyed. Why didn't I see it? Fu Tu was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, after my physical body was destroyed, the ancient castle fused with my divine soul. Then, can it be separated now? If it can, let it help you. I'm sure it can help you pass the tribulation. Fu Tu said. No. Unless my divine soul is destroyed. But even if my divine soul is destroyed and the ancient castle is separated from my divine soul, it won't be able to recover because the small beast seal is still there. Qin Feiyang shook his head. That damned small beast. Fu Tu was instantly enraged. If the ancient castle wasn't sealed, if Qin Feiyang's 2 war souls weren't sealed, then even facing a sovereign divine weapon, Qin Feiyang would have the power to protect himself. Especially the ancient castle. According to the time of the Black Tortoise world, the ancient castle and the Black Tortoise world had been fused together for almost 10 million years. After so many years, the ancient castle must have grown to an astonishing level. Perhaps, the ancient castle had even evolved into a sovereign divine weapon. If that was the case, then the dragon's sovereign divine weapon wouldn't be much of a threat. Unfortunately. With the ancient castle sealed, no matter how strong it was, it couldn't help. Boom! The 52nd heavenly tribulation descended. The sky-breaking halberd shouted, "Let the shield of earth rest for a while. Let's go." The sky-breaking halberd and the 7 stars staff both attacked the heavenly tribulation, their terrifying divine power shattering the starry sky. Boom! The heavenly tribulation shattered, but the 2 heaven-defying divine weapons were also damaged. Although it wasn't serious, their hearts were heavy. This was only the 52nd heavenly tribulation, but it already reached the half-step sovereign level. What about the rest of the heavenly tribulation? Especially the last heavenly tribulation. Normally, the power of the last heavenly tribulation was the sum of the previous 98 heavenly tribulation. If this heavenly tribulation was the same, then no one was confident that they could block the last heavenly tribulation. Bastard, bastard. These are all heaven-defying divine weapons of us dragons. At the entrance of the Star River. When the various ancestor dragons saw this, their eyes were filled with rage. The most hateful thing is that these heaven-defying divine weapons have never worked so hard for us before. What's so good about this Qin Feiyang? Why are they so loyal? Seeing the sunset divine bow and the other heaven-defying divine weapons protect Qin Feiyang with their lives, they felt very unbalanced. Even heaven-defying divine weapons have feelings. They will only be loyal to us if we treat them well. And this is something that you dragons will never understand. Qin Badian appeared not far away and looked at Longzuan and the ancestral dragons. Black Dragon Ancestral Dragon shouted, "If you dare to talk nonsense again, this sovereign will destroy you." Destroy me? If you really have that ability, do you think I'll still be alive? Qin Badian said. Black Dragon Ancestral Dragon clenched his fists. Besides, the person you want to kill now is not me, but Feiyang. Unfortunately, you can't do anything to Feiyang. You can't control your only hope, the sovereign divine weapon. Qin Badian shook his head. Shut up. Longzuan shouted coldly and pointed his finger. A divine dragon power suddenly appeared and shattered the galaxy, charging towards Qin Badian. Qin Badian waved his hand and a space crack appeared. He immediately stepped into the crack and appeared on the other side. You can't kill me either. Qin Badian smiled faintly. Humph. Longzuan snorted and ignored Qin Badian. He looked up at Qin Feiyang. Boom. The 53rd heavenly tribulation descended. The 7-star staff and sky-breaking halberd quickly retreated, while the axe and blood-red dagger moved forward and attacked the heavenly tribulation. The heavenly tribulation collapsed and cracks appeared on the axe and blood-red dagger. The cracks on their bodies were even bigger than the shield of thick earth. This was because the power of the heavenly tribulation was stronger than before. When the 60th heavenly tribulation descended, its power soared to a new level. Even the various heaven-defying divine weapons felt the threat of death from this power. Not good. The sunset divine bow shuddered. I'll go first. After the shield of thick earth roared and charged forward. With a loud clang, a wide crack immediately spread out, and the shield of thick earth was almost torn to pieces. So strong. The sunset divine bow and the other 17 heaven-defying divine weapons couldn't help but panic. The current heavenly tribulation had surpassed the half-step sovereign divine weapon. Even they could only withstand one heavenly tribulation at most. But there were dozens of heavenly tribulations after this. Moreover, it would get stronger and stronger. At that time, they might need to join forces to withstand the next heavenly tribulation. Chapter 2895. Rumble. Crack. Tribulation after tribulation continued to descend. The sunset divine bow and the other heaven-defying artifacts protected Qin Feiyang with their lives. Clang. When the 70th tribulation descended, the sunset divine bow and the other heaven-defying artifacts were all shattered. The dazzling divine light also dimmed. The axe, dragon-slaying sword, black demon spear, sky phoenix saber, and death god's scythe were all covered in cracks. The only ones that were still intact were snow and blood blade. Because they were sealed, the sunset divine bow and the other heaven-defying artifacts were not allowed to attack. They were only responsible for protecting Qin Feiyang. They are almost at their limits. Snow said in a low voice. But there are still 28 tribulation left. How can we survive it? Bloodshed was also deeply worried. Rumble. The 71st tribulation arrived as expected. A destructive force enveloped them. Quick. The power of this tribulation has already surpassed the initial stage of the sovereign realm. It has reached the level of the initial stage of the sovereign realm. Let's join forces. The sunset divine bow roared. Damn it. What kind of tribulation is this? How can it be so strong? The shield of earth could not help but roar. Even heaven-defying artifacts like them had never encountered a sovereign realm tribulation before. Clang. Clang. The dragon-slaying sword, black demon spear, sky phoenix saber, and death god's scythe were all activated and attacked the tribulation together. Crack. There was no suspense. The 4 heaven-defying artifacts were shattered on the spot. The dragon-slaying sword and the other 3 heaven-defying artifacts had only entered the land of origin before Qin Feiyang went into seclusion. Therefore, they were still inferior to the sunset divine bow and the other heaven-defying artifacts. This tribulation could not be stopped at all. It crazily charged toward Qin Feiyang. Go! Snow shouted. The Blood Blade's artifact spirit sighed. Qin Feiyang, I never thought that there would be a day when I would risk my life for you. I didn't expect it either. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. In the past, he had been mortal enemies with Blood Blade and Snow in the Great Qin Empire. He initially thought he would be able to keep fighting against the 2 law-defying god weapons. Who would have thought that these 2 heaven-defying weapons would risk their lives just to help him? It was indeed true that the world was unpredictable. Boom! Since the 2 heaven-defying divine artifacts were sealed, they could only try their best to attack the heavenly tribulation. With a loud crack, the 2 heaven-defying divine artifacts were instantly shattered. However, the heavenly tribulation did not disperse. Let's go again. Sunset bow roared. The sunset godly bow and the other godly artifacts were already in pieces. When they were attacked by the heavenly tribulation again, they were almost shattered into pieces. They had suffered unprecedented damage. However, the heavenly tribulation had finally dissipated. Qin Feiyang, this is our limit. The sunset bow's voice was soft and powerless. It had never felt so weak before, and its consciousness was fading away. A heaven-defying relic is about as strong as a half-step ruler. However, over the years, we've been cultivating in the land of origin, and we've already reached the level of an initial ruler. However, we're still far from the initial ruler realm. Qin Feiyang, we've already tried our best. You can only rely on yourself for the next heavenly tribulation. Fu Tu also said. Thank you. Qin Feiyang bowed deeply to the 18 godly artifacts. These godly artifacts had already done their best to help him up to this point. Soon after, Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the 18 broken pieces of the heaven-defying divine artifacts disappeared without a trace. Thank you for your hard work. Inside the Black Tortoise world. When the 18 godly artifacts appeared, the little boy said gratefully and immediately sent them to the land of origin to recuperate. There are still 27 heavenly tribulations left. What should we do? Fire Lotus looked at Qin Feiyang in the image anxiously. We can only pray now. Hua Yi walked to Fire Lotus's side and sighed. What's the use of praying? Fire Lotus said angrily. What else can we do? We can go out and help, but will it be of any use? You heard the Sunset Divine Bao say that the heavenly tribulation's power is at the initial ruler realm. With our cultivation, let alone the initial ruler realm, the power of a half-step ruler realm is enough to crush us. Hua Yi said. Hua Yi is right. Now we can only pray. Whether or not Feiyang can survive this heavenly tribulation will depend on his luck. Lu Xingyang clenched his hands. He was right in front of him, but he couldn't help. This feeling of helplessness almost made him collapse. Yi Zhong, the five-clawed golden dragon, the mermaid princess, Zhao Tailai, the blood Qilin, the demon ancestor, Yi Shui, and the others all looked miserable at this moment. What are you all doing? We have to have confidence in him. He was able to overcome so many difficulties in the past. This time, he will definitely be able to do it. The white-eyed wolf looked at everyone and roared. Everyone looked at the white-eyed wolf. In fact, everyone knew in their hearts that the white-eyed wolf was more anxious than they were. It said this just to find comfort in its heart. Outside, the 73rd heavenly tribulation, which had been brewing for a long time, finally descended. The destructive aura shattered the starry sky within hundreds of millions of miles, and countless stars trembled. The aura rushed out of the Milky Way with earth-shattering momentum. The revered dragon, the princes, the ancestral dragons, and even Qin Batian had to retreat from the Milky Way. At this moment, only Qin Feiyang was left in the entire Milky Way. He stood alone in the Milky Way, looking lonely and desolate. Am I really going to die? The heavenly tribulation was so powerful that even he couldn't help but want to give up. This was the biggest crisis he had encountered in his life. Although the small beast and the ice dragon were also very strong, he didn't feel such an obvious sense of danger when facing them. This was because he knew that the small beast and the ice dragon wouldn't kill him easily. But this time was different. The heavenly tribulation had no emotions, and it wouldn't show any mercy. However, he was really unwilling to die like this. The revered dragon hadn't been destroyed. He hadn't brought the ancestral dragon back to reunite with everyone. He hadn't fulfilled his promise to give the woman he loved a grand wedding. He hadn't taken back Chang Shui, and he hadn't avenged the inner demons and big cousin. He didn't want to die. Yes. I still have things to do. I can't die here. Give up, never. Even if there's only a glimmer of hope, I have to work hard to live on. Qin Feiyang roared, his eyes burning with a strong desire to live. Boom! The heavenly tribulation descended, and an aura of death suddenly enveloped him. He was only left with his divine soul. If even his divine soul was destroyed, then he was really hopeless. I can't die, I still have a 10,000-year promise with the small beast. I must defeat it, take back Chang Shui, and avenge the inner demons and big cousin. I have to live on. Qin Feiyang roared in his heart. But no matter how strong his desire to live was, the heavenly tribulation was merciless and frantically obliterated his divine soul. In just an instant, only a few strands of his divine soul were left. Is it over like this? Qin Feiyang's consciousness gradually fell into darkness. The last few strands of his divine soul also collapsed with a loud bang. No. It's not over yet. At the same time, Qin Feiyang used his strong willpower to reform the few strands of his divine soul that had collapsed. But even if they were reformed, what was the use? What did he have to do to bring the dead back to life? The heavenly tribulation, lightning. In an instant, countless thoughts flashed through Qin Feiyang's mind. Suddenly, he caught a trace of something ethereal. This kind of thing couldn't be explained clearly. Only he could understand it. The heavenly tribulation was evolved from lightning. Lightning was even a yang thing, the nemesis of evil. What it represented was actually not killing, but justice, the great Tao, the law. Lightning came out, evil was destroyed. Lightning was also one of the laws. Qin Feiyang suddenly felt enlightened. His consciousness became clearer and clearer, and the profound meaning of lightning constantly appeared in his mind. When only the last strand of his divine soul was left, an obscure aura suddenly appeared around his body. The last strand of his divine soul also rapidly collapsed. However, the disintegrated divine soul was not destroyed by the lightning. Instead, it began to wander within the lightning. His consciousness also did not dissipate. Instead, it became even clearer. He saw something different in the lightning. It was a kind of profound meaning. However, the mermaid princess and the others in the Black Tortoise realm did not know about Qin Feiyang's current situation. Seeing Qin Feiyang's last strand of divine soul collapse, everyone immediately fell into a state of grief. The mermaid princess's face was covered in tears. The white-eyed wolf also collapsed on the ground, large beads of tears rolling down his face. Outside the Milky Way, sensing Qin Feiyang's aura dissipating, Qin Beishan's body also trembled. However, the ancestral dragons were overjoyed. As for the revered dragon, although her expression could not be seen, she could feel a trace of joy in her emotional fluctuations. Only the prince of the dragons sighed. He was still looking forward to the battle with Qin Feiyang, but now it seemed that this expectation had come to nothing. Although this is not the ending I want to see, in my heart, you will always be a worthy opponent. The prince of the dragons murmured. Something's not right. Suddenly, Qin Beishan's eyes trembled. The revered dragon, the ancestral dragons, and the prince of the dragons all looked at Qin Batian in the distance. Qin Batian took a step forward and landed at the entrance of the Star River, looking at the tribulation clouds in the Star River. It's indeed not right. The prince of the dragons also landed at the entrance of the Star River. He glanced at the tribulation clouds and the blood-colored lightning flashing in the tribulation clouds. What's wrong? The black dragon ancestral dragon asked. Since he has fallen, why hasn't the tribulation dissipated? The prince of the dragons said. That's right. This sentence woke everyone up. The revered dragon and the other ancestral dragons immediately woke up. There's only one explanation for this phenomenon. Qin Feiyang is not dead. The prince of the dragons' eyes flickered. The ancestral dragons raised their brows and scanned the Star River. However, they did not see Qin Feiyang's figure, nor did they sense Qin Feiyang's aura. Lightning is the creator of heaven and earth. Suddenly, an ethereal voice sounded in the Star River. The ancestral dragons were shocked. In the Black Tortoise world, everyone who was in grief was also shocked and quickly looked at the screen. Because the owner of this voice was Qin Feiyang. He was not dead. But in the Star River, they did not see Qin Feiyang. Lightning is the righteous Qi, the ethereal voice sounded again, echoing in the Star River for a long time. The mermaid princess and the others were happy and confused. The voice clearly sounded in the Star River, but no matter how hard they tried, they could not find Qin Feiyang himself. Lightning appears, evil spirits fear. Lightning moves, the world is shocked. As the last word fell, a figure gradually appeared in the lightning. If it wasn't Qin Feiyang, who could it be? Chapter 2896. Qin Dage, Feiyang, young master. Seeing Qin Feiyang appear, everyone in the Black Tortoise world couldn't help but be excited. Fire Lotus, Mermaid Princess, and the others were even crying tears of joy. Why is this happening? He clearly died under the heavenly tribulation, but he actually revived? However, the various ancestral dragons were filled with anger. This little bastard, how could he live so long? It's really strange. The dragons also looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Previously, Qin Feiyang's aura had indeed disappeared. And in the galaxy, they didn't see Qin Feiyang. But why did he suddenly appear again? From now on, I will be the ruler of the Thunder Dao. Qin Feiyang stood in the middle of the heavenly tribulation and slowly raised his arm. He opened his palm, and wisps of purple lightning flashed out. Longzuan was shocked. The law of thunder. Qin Badian enunciated each word, his expression filled with shock. He never expected that Qin Feiyang would actually comprehend the law of thunder at this time. At the same time, in the Black Tortoise world, Yi Zhong and the others were also very excited. The law of thunder, this was another kind of law power. In addition to the law of light and the law of cause and effect, Qin Feiyang had now mastered 3 kinds of law power. Although they were just beginners, just based on this point, his future achievements would be limitless. Some were happy, some were sad. Longzuan and the various ancestral dragons' faces were extremely gloomy at this moment. Not only did he not die under the heavenly tribulation, but he also benefited from the disaster and comprehended the law of thunder. What kind of monster was this? Why was it that every time he performed, his performance was always so unexpected? The law of thunder, this was another powerful law power. Crack. The 74th heavenly tribulation fell. This time, not only did Qin Feiyang not resist, but he even opened his arms as if he was welcoming the heavenly tribulation. One had to know that he was just a wisp of divine soul now. And this was the last wisp of divine soul left. In such a situation, if it were anyone else, facing such a terrifying heavenly tribulation, they would not even be able to escape in time. However, he had nothing to fear. There was even a hint of a smile on his face. The heavenly tribulation struck him. What happened next left everyone dumbfounded. Qin Feiyang was not injured in the slightest. How could this be? The various ancestral dragons mumbled. Isn't this too outrageous? One had to know that this was a might comparable to the sovereign realm. The might of a sovereign realm expert was actually unable to harm a strand of Qin Feiyang's divine soul? Crack. The heavenly tribulations descended one after another. Qin Feiyang stood proudly in the galaxy, surrounded by blood-red lightning. The destructive aura shattered in all directions, but only Qin Feiyang remained unscathed. I don't believe it. This must be a dream. He has already comprehended the laws of light, so how could he possibly comprehend the laws of lightning? Ancestral Dragon shook his head. But that's the truth. Qin Badian said with a smile. Shut up. Ancestral Dragon glared at him fiercely. Qin Badian smiled and ignored Ancestral Dragon. He raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang with a gratified expression. Then, he looked at Qin Feiyang. At this moment, not only did the heavenly tribulation not bring him the slightest threat, it gave him an incomparable sense of intimacy. It was as if he was in the embrace of a mother. He felt warm all over. Boom! Finally. The 99th heavenly tribulation arrived. The blood-red lightning gathered together and formed a heavenly tribulation with a diameter of more than 10,000 feet that blasted towards Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was still smiling as he welcomed it. The heavenly tribulation landed on him and instantly drowned him. The power of lightning roared crazily but did not harm him at all. The tribulation cloud began to dissipate and was replaced by a pure white auspicious cloud that emitted a sacred aura. Suddenly, a divine light emerged from the auspicious cloud, illuminating half of the galaxy and fusing into Qin Feiyang's body. Immediately, Qin Feiyang's divine soul began to recover and his body began to reconstruct. Ancestral Dragon roared, "Take the opportunity to kill him." Boom! The 10 ancestral dragons immediately erupted with a terrifying aura and blasted towards Qin Feiyang. Humph. But at the same time, Qin Badian snorted and opened a space crack, instantly blocking in front of Qin Feiyang. You're courting death. The 10 ancestral dragons were filled with murderous intent and blasted towards Qin Badian with their divine power. With just you guys? Qin Badian sneered and the spacetime laws emerged. A wide space crack appeared in the galaxy in front of him, revealing a dark bottomless pit. Immediately, the divine power of the 10 ancestral dragons was swallowed by the space crack and did not cause any waves. Seeing this, the pupils of the 10 ancestral dragons shrank slightly. This is the profound divine ability, spacetime black hole. Long Zun said. Profound divine ability. The 10 ancestral dragons were shocked. That's right. The power of law, except for the beginner level, has a profound divine ability at every level. The profound divine ability at the initial level of the spacetime law is spacetime teleportation. As you can see, entering the space crack and teleporting to the other side. And when the spacetime law is comprehended to the initial level, the second profound divine ability can be activated. This profound divine ability is spacetime black hole. Spacetime black hole can swallow divine power and divine arts, including divine weapons. Of course, divine weapons are limited to the supreme level. Facing a heaven-defying divine weapon, spacetime black hole can't swallow it. Long Zun said in a deep voice. I see. The ancestral dragons were enlightened. I really didn't expect you to comprehend the spacetime law to the initial level so quickly. Long Zun stared at Qin Badian and said gloomily. Qin Badian smiled faintly. No matter how strong I am, I can't compare to you. Humph. It's good that you know. Long Zun said coldly and raised his arm in the air and shouted, Spacetime black hole. His words were law. The astral river around Qin Badian crumbled apart, revealing a gigantic black hole. This black hole was dozens of times bigger than the one that Qin Badian had opened before. A terrifying aura emerged from the black hole, and Qin Badian immediately fell into the black hole uncontrollably. That's right. Spacetime black hole could swallow living beings. Qin Badian could not help but feel a great sense of danger. But at this moment, 3 figures appeared beside Qin Badian. These 3 people were Yizhong, Cloud Supreme, and Beast Supreme. The 3 of them were sent out by the little boy. Now, only Yizhong and the other 2 could help Qin Badian and Qin Badian. Because Yizhong and Cloud Supreme had both stepped into the complete imperishable realm. Although Beast Supreme hadn't broken through, his cultivation was still in the complete imperishable realm. Boom! As soon as the 3 of them attacked, they immediately waved their hands. 2 waves of fire and a wave of water rolled out and blasted into the spacetime black hole. This wasn't divine power, but the power of laws. The 2 waves of fire were formed by Yizhong and Beast Supreme's fire laws. The wave of water was formed by the water laws. Obviously, what Supreme Cloud had mastered was the law of water. The power of the 3 laws blasted into the black hole, and it immediately trembled. Boom! At the same time, Qin Badian also waved his hand, and the spacetime laws turned into a torrent and blasted into the black hole. Under the joint suppression of the 4, the spacetime black hole finally collapsed. Yizhong! Long Zun shouted angrily. Yizhong looked up at Long Zun with a complicated look in his eyes. The eyes of the ancestral dragons were also filled with anger. Why did you betray me? Long Zun shouted. Yizhong said, you know it in your heart. I don't know. Long Zun said angrily. Cloud Supreme said, if you don't know, then let me tell you that you brought this upon yourself. Shut up. Long Zun glared at Cloud Supreme. What? You won't let me say it? After Yizhong faked his death, how did you treat Yi Shui, an old man Yi? To tell you the truth, Yizhong faked his death back then was a test for you. If you had treated Yi Shui, and the rest well, Yi Zhong wouldn't have stayed in the Black Tortoise world. His loyalty to the dragons, no. His loyalty to you is witnessed by heaven and earth, but unfortunately, you didn't cherish it. Cloud Supreme sneered. Hearing this, Long Zun clenched his fists. Yi Zhong looked at Long Zun and said with a faint smile, "Let's let bygones be bygones." "It won't be that easy," Long Zun said gloomily. "Then what do you want? Kill Yi Zhong? Do you have the ability?" Sovereign Beast sneered. Looking at Sovereign Beast and Cloud, Long Zun suppressed the anger in his heart and looked at Yi Zhong again, asking, "Are you really going to help Qin Feiyang?" Yi Zhong was silent for a while, then looked at Long Zun and said, "He is this old man's disciple." This sentence was enough to express his position. "Good. Very good. Since you are heartless, then don't blame me for being unrighteous. Let's wait and see." Long Zun snorted coldly and left with the Imperial Prince and the 10 ancestor dragons. Sovereign Beast said, "Why don't we kill them now?" This sovereign agrees. They can't use the power of the sovereign divine weapon in the galaxy now. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Cloud Supreme thought. No. Yi Zhong shook his head. Why? Can't bear to? Cloud Supreme raised an eyebrow. Yi Zhong smiled bitterly when he heard this. Qin Batian sighed and looked at Sovereign Cloud and Sovereign Beast with a smile. Don't misunderstand, Brother Yi also has his concerns. The two couldn't help frowning. Although they can't use the power of the sovereign divine weapon in the galaxy, we can't use the power of the sovereign divine weapons either. Because these sovereign divine weapons are now seriously injured and can't be repaired in a short time. And Long Zun is at the great perfection imperishable realm, stronger than us. According to my observation, his power of law has reached the 4th stage. There's also the Dragon Prince. He has a heaven-defying divine artifact. The Imperial Prince of the Dragons is very strong, and with the sovereign divine weapon, his battle strength can't be underestimated. So if we really fight, we don't have much chance of winning. Qin Batian said. But we also have sovereign divine weapons. Aren't you and Lu Xingyang's 4 sovereign divine weapons still intact? Cloud Supreme frowned. Although you're right, what's the use of killing them now? They must have left their divine souls on Divine Dragon Island. If we kill them, they can still be resurrected. So, fighting with them now is completely meaningless. Qin Batian shook his head. Chapter 2897. So troublesome. Cloud Supreme looked out of the galaxy in annoyance. It is indeed troublesome. If we want to completely destroy the dragons, we have to break the barrier set by Ice Dragon on Divine Dragon Island. After the barrier is broken, we can kill our way into Divine Dragon Island and get rid of their true bodies and divine souls left in the sacred land. But after the barrier is broken, we have to face the sovereign divine weapon. It's difficult. Qin Batian shook his head. At the same time, the ancestral dragons who had returned to Divine Dragon Island also looked at Longzuan in confusion. Why are you looking at me? Longzuan raised his eyebrows. My lord, their divine weapons were all damaged by the heavenly tribulation. Why didn't you take the opportunity to kill them? Black Dragon Ancestral Dragon asked suspiciously. Idiot. Do you think Qin Batian and Lu Xingyang's 4 divine weapons are to be trifled with? Longzuan said angrily. Dragon God's face stiffened. He had really forgotten about the 4 divine weapons. Longzuan looked up at the sky and sneered. No hurry. When I step into the sovereign realm, it will be their doomsday. But my lord, did Qin Feiyang say that when he steps into the imperishable realm, he will declare war on us dragons? Blood Dragon Ancestral Dragon said. The other ancestral dragons also looked at Longzuan with heavy expressions. Because Qin Feiyang had successfully passed the heavenly tribulation and stepped into the half-step imperishable realm, it was a fact. He might come to Divine Dragon Island later. Calling you stupid is overestimating you. If he declares war, do we have to accept it? If he has the ability, he can break the barrier and kill his way into Divine Dragon Island. With that, Longzuan led the prince of the dragon clan into the dragon palace without looking back. Yes, yes, yes. With the barrier set by Dragon God, Qin Feiyang can't kill his way into Divine Dragon Island. Blood Dragon Ancestral Dragon patted his head and nodded with a smile. Longzuan has already calculated in his heart. We don't have to be too worried. Besides, even if they can break Lord Dragon God's barrier, don't they still have the sovereign divine weapon? Do you think they'll be able to fight against a dominator weapon? Thus, our Divine Dragon Island is absolutely safe. The woman in white said with a smile. She was the white dragon ancestor dragon. The other ancestral dragons nodded in agreement. But there's one thing that I don't know if you've noticed. Blood Dragon Ancestral Dragon suddenly said. What? The other ancestral dragons looked at him doubtfully. Yi Zhong and Supreme Cloud's cultivations have entered the great circle of the imperishable realm. Blood Dragon Ancestral Dragon said. When the 9 of them heard this, a trace of bewilderment crept onto their faces. That seems to be the case. The white-robed woman carefully recalled for a moment before looking at the ancestral dragons and saying in a deep voice. How is this possible? We're all clear about Yi Zhong's situation. Although he has indeed reached the peak of the great success undead stage, it shouldn't be this fast. Ancestral Dragon Golden Dragon said angrily. There's also Qin Feiyang. He actually reached the half-step invincible realm so quickly. Could it be that the Black Tortoise World's time array is different from what we know? The woman in white said. It's different. The ancestral dragons' faces were as dark as water. Their previous joy had already disappeared. The woman in white took a deep breath and said, It's useless to think so much now. Hurry up and cultivate. Then, she looked at the dragons and sighed. If we can't enter the great circle of the imperishable realm, then not only will we lose face, but Lord Dragon Sovereign will also be angry. The ancestral dragons nodded. The galaxy. The tribulation clouds had already dispersed. The Milky Way became vast and boundless again. However, the lightning power formed by the heavenly tribulation did not dissipate. It surrounded Qin Feiyang. Time passed breath by breath. 3 days later. Qin Feiyang's body and divine soul were finally reconstructed. And it was also at this moment that he officially stepped into the half-step invincible realm. A terrifying aura rolled out in all directions. Hundreds of miles of the starry sky were trembling. Qin Badian and the others had been here to protect Qin Feiyang. Seeing that Qin Feiyang had finally stepped into the imperishable realm, their faces were full of smiles. However, the speed at which Qin Feiyang's body and divine soul were reconstructed surprised them. With Qin Feiyang's current cultivation, it would take at least 10,000 years to reconstruct his body and divine soul. But now, it only took him 3 days. Qin Badian said, it should have something to do with the divine light after the heavenly tribulation. Yes. I heard that after successfully passing the tribulation, there will usually be a ray of auspicious light. And this ray of auspicious light is a reward for the person who passed the tribulation. Now that I look at it, it's true. Yi Zhong nodded and smiled. Qin Badian, Cloud Sovereign, and Beast Sovereign also nodded. Although they were all giants of the ancient world, they were very unfamiliar with the heavenly tribulation. In the past, it was basically hearsay. So before they saw it with their own eyes, they could not be sure of many things. Swoosh. At this moment, Qin Feiyang suddenly opened his eyes. 2 rays of divine light burst out. How do you feel? Yi Zhong asked with a smile. That's great. Qin Feiyang grinned. Yi Zhong shook his head and laughed. This time, you really profited from a disaster. That's because I didn't give up. If I had given up, would have been destroyed. Qin Feiyang shook his head and looked at the power of thunder and lightning around him. With a thought, he began to absorb it and continue to refine his body. Another half a day passed. Under the refinement of the power of thunder and lightning, Qin Feiyang's body soared all the way to the supremacy level. In other words, his current physical body and strength were already comparable to that of a supreme-grade artifact. This feeling is so good. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed. What's wrong? Yi Zhong and the others looked at him suspiciously. Let's test my current strength. Qin Feiyang raised his fist and threw it at Qin Badian. Qin Badian was a little confused and hurriedly threw out a palm. The fist and palm met in an instant. Qin Badian was so powerful that even a hasty palm was enough to send Qin Feiyang flying. However, Qin Badian's eyes were full of shock. What's wrong? Yi Zhong, Supremacy Cloud, and Supremacy Beast were even more suspicious. You guys, take a punch from me as well. Qin Feiyang looked at the three of them and threw a punch at them. Bam! Bam! After 3 consecutive collisions, Yi Zhong and the others were dumbfounded. This strength, this physical body, how is it? Qin Feiyang looked at the 4 of them and chuckled. This heavenly tribulation has strengthened your body to this extent? Yi Zhong was stunned. What do you mean by this heavenly tribulation? It's not an exaggeration to say that the power of the last heavenly tribulation has probably reached the level of a great perfection sovereign. Is it strange that a heavenly tribulation of this level has enhanced my physical body to the level of a supreme? Qin Feiyang was speechless. Ah! Yi Zhong was stunned. It wasn't strange when he put it that way. Kid, you can do it. With this body of yours, it'll be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with a heaven-defying divine artifact sooner or later. Qin Badian stepped forward and patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder, laughing loudly. Stand shoulder to shoulder with a heaven-defying divine artifact? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, as if he had discovered a new continent. Looking at Qin Badian and the others, he asked, can the physical body be cultivated to the level of a heaven-defying divine artifact? The 4 of them were stumped by the question. Qin Badian said, although I said so, I don't know if my physical body can reach this level. Ah! Qin Feiyang was stunned. After all, there are too few people who pay attention to physical body cultivation. As far as I know, only Wang Ming does. Wang Ming's physical body is also at the level of a supreme. Qin Badian said. So his physical body is at the level of a supreme. No wonder he's so strong. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. If you really want to improve your physical body to the level of a heaven-defying divine artifact, I'm afraid you'll have to think of a way yourself. After all, this sort of thing is completely unprecedented. Of course. You can also discuss it with Wang Ming because he's your senior in this aspect and has more experience. Qin Badian said. All right, I'll talk to him when I have time. Qin Feiyang nodded. What about now? Qin Badian asked. Now, Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, then waved his hand and led the 4 of them into the black tortoise world. Feiyang. Accompanied by a fragrant wind, the mermaid princess immediately threw herself into Qin Feiyang's arms. I'm sorry to have worried you. Qin Feiyang said gently. No, it's good that you're fine. The mermaid princess shook her head. Looking at the 2 of them hugging, Yi Shui couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Young master, you're getting more and more powerful now. Your physical body is on par with mine. Wang Ming said with a smile. Qin Feiyang gently pushed the mermaid princess away and looked at Wang Ming with a smile. Let's talk when we have time. Sure. Wang Ming nodded. Qin Feiyang looked at the little boy and asked, how are the Sunset Bao and the others? Let's not disturb them for now. This time, they're really badly injured. It'll be hard for them to recover in a short time. The little boy shook his head. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but frown. If they wanted to break the barrier of Divine Dragon Island, they needed the help of these heaven-defying divine artifacts. There's no hurry to deal with the dragons. You just broke through. Stabilize your realm first. At the same time, give everyone some time. For example, Venerable Beast and Frenzy are about to break through. The little boy said. Qin Feiyang looked at Frenzy and Venerable Beast and nodded. Okay. Alright then, hurry up and go cultivate. With that, the little boy disappeared without a trace. Everyone also left one after another. Soon, only Qin Badian and the others were left here. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the mermaid princess and said with a smile, I have something to talk to Ancestor about. You go and cultivate too. Okay. The mermaid princess nodded obediently, then turned and left. Ancestor, Master, I heard you say that Venerable Dragon Spacetime Law has entered the 4th stage? Qin Feiyang looked at Qin Badian and the others and asked. Yes. Qin Badian nodded. So fast? I remember someone saying that she's only at the 3rd stage. Qin Feiyang frowned. It's been many years since Venerable Dragon comprehended the spacetime law. Moreover, ever since she stepped into the perfect imperishable realm, she has been painstakingly comprehending the spacetime law. So, I'm afraid that even your ancestor Qin Baishan's understanding of the spacetime law is less than 1% of hers. If I'm not wrong, she'll enter the 5th stage in 1,000,000 years at most. As for the 6th stage, I dare not say anything. Yi Zhong said. Chapter 2898. The 6th stage is the Great Perfection stage. Once she succeeds, she'll officially step into the half-step sovereign realm. We can't let her succeed. Qin Feiyang said. That's true, but who can break through Ice Dragon's barrier on Divine Dragon Island? And don't forget, it's been more than a decade since your last battle with the dragons. The sovereign divine domain can be opened again. Forget Ice Dragon's barrier, even if the dragons open their sovereign divine domain, breaking through it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Yi Zhong said. That makes sense. Qin Badian nodded. Although the dragons are wary of us, we are also wary of the dragons. To be honest, no one can be certain of the outcome of this battle. Sovereign Beast shook his head. Cloud Sovereign said, I don't think so. In my opinion, the dragons have a higher chance of winning. After all, a sovereign divine weapon is a goal we can't surpass. Wrong. Qin Feiyang shook his head. What's wrong? Cloud Sovereign was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, they have a sovereign divine weapon, but we also have a trump card. Cloud Sovereign was stunned. What trump card can compare to a sovereign divine weapon? The Slaughter Domain. Although the Slaughter Domain's power has never reached the level of a sovereign divine weapon, I firmly believe that as long as there is enough blood, it can be done. Qin Feiyang's brows were filled with confidence. Cloud Sovereign fell silent. If the Slaughter Domain could really reach that level, there was hope for them to deal with the dragons. Qin Feiyang looked at Yi Zhong and asked, Master, didn't I ask Fire Lotus to help me collect blood? How is it going? This old man didn't bother with this matter, so I don't know the details, but I heard that a lot of blood has been collected. Yi Zhong said. Qin Feiyang hurriedly asked, then where is the blood now? The Western region. I heard from Fire Lotus that the Western region's plate is the largest. So, she asked Pai Lupi and Theta Wang to help her move all the living creatures in the Western region to the other 3 regions. The Western regions are specifically used to store blood. Furthermore, regardless of whether it is the creatures of the Black Tortoise world or the ancient world, they are all very enthusiastic about donating blood. City lords like Jiang Dafei have also collected a lot of blood. Yi Zhong said. The Western regions, Qin Feiyang murmured. Closing his eyes, he sent his perception into the Western domain. Immediately, a magnificent scene appeared in front of his eyes. At this moment, the entire Western region had become a sea of blood that stretched as far as the eye could see. It was hard to imagine how much blood there was. How is it? Yi Zhong smiled and asked. Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and said with a smile, Fire Lotus's efficiency is indeed different. According to my estimation, the blood in the western regions is enough for me to start 1,000 slaughters, and it will be the second stage of slaughters. Cloud Supreme asked, Is there a chance of reaching the level of a sovereign artifact? I'm not sure about that. Because I've never been there, I don't know how much blood is needed. Qin Feiyang shook his head. That is to say, it's still unknown whether it can reach the level of a sovereign artifact? Cloud Supreme frowned. Qin Feiyang nodded. Cloud Supreme said, Then continue to store more blood. Qin Feiyang nodded. Looking at Yi Zhong, he asked, Master, you've been meditating for so long. Have you reached the third stage? Not yet. However, after these years of meditation and discussions with Sovereign Beast, I've improved a lot. This old man estimates that I should be able to reach the third stage in less than 10,000 years. Yi Zhong smiled. Qin Feiyang smiled. 10,000 years in the Black Tortoise world is only 10 days in the outside world. Yi Zhong smiled, so there's still time. What about you guys? Qin Feiyang looked at Cloud Supreme. Sovereign Beast. This sovereign situation is similar to Yi Zhong's. But now, this sovereign's priority is to step into the great circle of the imperishable realm. Sovereign Beast said. Cloud Supreme said, This sovereign's law of water is about to enter the third stage. The law of water, Qin Feiyang murmured, shaking his head with a smile, You guys are all monsters. None of the 10 ancestral dragons have comprehended the power of law, but all of you have. We're the monsters. Kid, doesn't your conscience hurt? Who's the real monster here? You haven't even entered the imperishable realm, yet you've already comprehended 3 types of law, including one of the strongest laws, the law of karma? Cloud Supreme rolled his eyes. It can't be helped. My luck is too good. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Cloud Supreme pursed his lips. It can't be helped. You have the right to be proud of 3 types of law. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly and looked at Qin Badian. Ancestor, your law of time and space has already reached the third stage. Yes. Qin Badian nodded. Qin Feiyang immediately looked at Yi Zhong and the other 2 and chuckled. It seems that you guys aren't as good as Ancestor. The 3 couldn't help smiling wryly when they heard this. The old one was so monster, and the young one was also so monster. The Qin clan was really enviable. Alright then, you guys continue chatting. I'll go ask Wang Ming for advice. With that, Qin Feiyang got up and entered the castle's cultivation room to take the Ring of Cosmos. When he was transcending the tribulation, he had sent the Ring of Cosmos into the castle's cultivation room. After taking the Ring of Cosmos, he entered a cultivation room on the 2nd floor. There were 3 people in this cultivation room. They were Li Changhe, Wang Daoyuan, and Yang Li. Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan were also working hard to break through to the half-step invincible level. Young Lord. Seeing Qin Feiyang appear, the 3 immediately opened their eyes and bowed. Qin Feiyang looked at Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan and smiled. It's fine. You guys continue. Okay. The 2 nodded and sat cross-legged on the ground again to continue cultivating. Qin Feiyang looked at Yang Li and asked curiously, Yang Li, what kind of law did you inherit from the temple? The law of metal. Yang Li scratched his head and answered a little embarrassedly. That's a good thing. Why are you embarrassed? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. It's good, but I don't have the right to be proud in front of you. You're someone who has mastered 3 types of law. Yang Li said with admiration. Huh, Qin Feiyang laughed and said, actually, mastering 1 type of law is enough. After all, compared to Wang Ming, you already have the right to step into the Dominator realm. Dominator realm? Yang Li was slightly taken aback and smiled bitterly. To be honest, even if I have the law of metal now, I don't have the confidence to step into the Dominator realm. That's not a good attitude. After all, you have to have confidence in yourself. Qin Feiyang said unhappily. Young lord is right. Yang Li nodded repeatedly. Okay then, work hard. By the way, where's Wang Ming? I remember that he used to be in this cultivation room. Qin Feiyang glanced around the cultivation room and said suspiciously. Yang Li said, he stopped cultivating in seclusion after breaking through to the great success invincible stage. Then where did he go? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. He went to comprehend the law of metal. Seeing that I've mastered the law of metal, he's very anxious now. Yang Li smiled. How can he be anxious about this? Qin Feiyang shook his head and released his perception. He quickly found Wang Ming and then looked at Yang Li, then continue. Try to break through to the great success invincible stage before the battle. Okay. Yang Li nodded. Qin Feiyang disappeared in a flash. At the same time. Eastern region. On a mountain peak, a middle-aged man stood and looked at the mountains and rivers in front of him with a worried face. This person was Wang Ming. After leaving the Devil's Land, he came here aimlessly. Needless to say, the thing that made him worried was definitely the power of laws. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang appeared next to Wang Ming out of thin air and asked with a smile. Wang Ming was stunned, then hurriedly turned and said respectfully, Greetings, young lord. Qin Feiyang looked at him and smiled. It's because of the law of metal, right? Yes. Wang Ming nodded. After pondering for a moment, he looked down at the mountains and rivers below and sighed. After breaking through to the great success invincible stage, I left the Devil's Land and have been walking in the secular world. But until now, I haven't gained anything at all. Speaking of this, Wang Ming looked up at Qin Feiyang and asked, Young lord, do I not have this talent at all? How can you be anxious about this? The law of metal is something that can only be chanced upon and not sought. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. I know that, but seeing that Yang Li has the law of metal, I can't help but feel anxious. Wang Ming looked disappointed. Qin Feiyang asked, then why do you want to compare yourself with Yang Li? Wang Ming wanted to say something, but stopped. Actually, I know what you're thinking now. You and Yang Li followed me together, and your strength has always been on par. But now, Yang Li has obtained the legacy and mastered the law of metal, so you're feeling the pressure. Furthermore, in your heart, you're still thinking, now that Yang Li has obtained the law of metal, as the young lord, I'll definitely pay more attention to him. Because his future is better, he'll slowly neglect you. Am I right? Qin Feiyang said. Wang Ming smiled embarrassedly, admitting it. Actually, you don't have to put these psychological burdens on yourself at all. Whether or not you comprehend the law of metal in the future, you'll always be my partner, Qin Feiyang. Remember, we're partners, not superiors and subordinates. Qin Feiyang smiled. Young lord, Wang Ming stared blankly at Qin Feiyang. Actually, I'm also responsible. If you hadn't chosen to self-detonate to save me back then, you would have been able to enter the temple and obtain the legacy of the law of metal. Qin Feiyang sighed. No. Protecting young lord is what I should do. Wang Ming hurriedly waved his hands. There's nothing you should do in this world, only whether you're willing or not. So, I'm very grateful to you for being willing to follow me through thick and thin. Really. If you hadn't risked your life to save me back then, would have definitely died at the hands of the fire dragon. Qin Feiyang said. Wang Ming nodded slightly, feeling a little embarrassed for a moment. Whether it's you, Yang Li, Li Changhe, or Wang Daoyuan, you're all a part of my life now. In my eyes, you're all equal, so in the future, don't let your imagination run wild and put a lot of pressure on yourself. Qin Feiyang glared at Wang Ming angrily. Okay. Wang Ming nodded. As for the law of metal, you really can't force it. Sometimes, when the opportunity comes, you can comprehend it with an epiphany. Qin Feiyang said. Wang Ming asked, then, do you have any experience you can impart to me? Experience, Qin Feiyang murmured with a smile, one word, quiet. Quiet? Wang Ming was stunned. Chapter 2899. Yes. Calm. It's only when you truly calm down that you'll be able to see through the surface of all things and see the mysteries within. It's only when you calm down that you'll have the chance to enter a state of epiphany. Qin Feiyang said. I see. Wang Ming nodded in realization. I was wondering why I didn't gain anything all these years. So, it's because of my impatience. No matter how good the conditions are, an impatient person will never amount to anything. That's the state of mind. Talent is actually secondary. For a cultivator, the most important thing is the state of mind. Qin Feiyang said. I understand. Wang Ming nodded. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment before saying, there's one more thing. Look more, think more, and think more. I understand that. Enter the secular world more, look, think, and understand the deepest mysteries within. Wang Ming said. Yes. Everything in the world originates from the secular world. Only by seeing through the secular world and comprehending the various forms of life can you attain Tao. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Thank you for your teachings, young master. Wang Ming bowed. I'm just speaking from experience. It's not much of a lesson. Speaking of which, how did you temper your fleshly body in the past? How did you reach the paragon level? Qin Feiyang was curious. This, Wang Ming pondered for a moment before saying, to be honest, young master, I actually have a divine art that specializes in tempering the body. A divine art that specializes in tempering the body? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. This divine art is called Emperor Ming's body tempering technique. I created it myself and it's divided into 7 realms. It corresponds to the level of a divine weapon. The first realm corresponds to an inferior divine weapon. The second realm corresponds to a medium divine weapon. And so on. The 7th realm corresponds to a supreme level divine weapon. Wang Ming said. You created it yourself? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Yes. I've been interested in tempering my body since I was young. So, after I became a war god, I began to study it. After hundreds of thousands of years, I finally created the Emperor Ming body tempering technique. The effect is pretty good. Wang Ming laughed proudly. To be able to create a deity art, and a body refining art at that, he indeed had the right to be proud. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization and asked, then can this Emperor Ming's body refining technique upgrade the physical body to the heaven-defying level? Heaven-defying level? Wang Ming laughed bitterly and said, how could I have that ability? Supreme level is already my limit. Qin Feiyang could not help but feel a little disappointed when he heard that. He asked, have you ever thought of upgrading your physical body to the heaven-defying level? Of course I have. But at the moment, it seems impossible. Unless, when Wang Ming said this, his eyes shone brightly. Unless what? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Unless I upgrade the Emperor Ming's body refining technique to the heaven-defying deity art. Because the current Emperor Ming's body refining technique is only a supreme-level deity art. If I upgrade the Emperor Ming's body refining technique to the heaven-defying deity art, I think I should be able to upgrade the strength of my physical body to the heaven-defying level. Wang Ming said. Heaven-defying deity art, Qin Feiyang murmured and shook his head with a sigh. I'm afraid that's as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Definitely harder than ascending to the heavens. For the time being, I don't have this idea. Wang Ming shook his head. All right. This matter can't be rushed. Take it slow. Qin Feiyang smiled. Wang Ming nodded. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, then you continue. I'll go back to the Devil's Land first to comprehend the power of the 3 laws. Okay. Wang Ming nodded again. Qin Feiyang took a step forward and disappeared without a trace. Wang Ming retracted his gaze and looked at the mountains and rivers in front of him, murmuring, "Calm, then let's calm down first." Then he also took a step forward and disappeared step by step. The Devil's Land. Qin Feiyang entered the cultivation room and stood quietly at the side, looking at Dan Wangkai, who was completely focused on refining pills. After a while, Dan Wangkai finally stopped. "Young master, when did you come?" When he saw Qin Feiyang beside him, Dan Wangkai was immediately stunned. "I've been here for a while." Qin Feiyang smiled, stepped forward and grabbed the pill. Looking at the 4 dragon-shaped pill chi on it, he said, "You've improved a lot." Hee hee. Dan Wangkai scratched his head and laughed foolishly. Qin Feiyang threw the pill to Dan Wangkai and shook his head. "You should also hurry up and cultivate. Don't just focus on refining pills all day." Dan Wangkai was startled, and said, "Cultivation is so boring." "Cultivation is boring?" Qin Feiyang was startled, and said speechlessly, "Go out and take a look. Who isn't cultivating desperately now? You're the only one who's so calm." Dan Wangkai said helplessly, "It's not like you don't know, my ambition is not here. I know you like to refine pills, but you can't ignore your cultivation. Strength is the most important thing. Without powerful strength, no matter how talented you are in alchemy, you'll just be making a wedding dress for others." Qin Feiyang said. "What do you mean?" Dan Wangkai was suspicious. "Think about it. If you're alone now, when people from some big forces find out that you can refine a divine pill with 4 dragon-shaped pill chi, what will they do?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Then he must be very respectful towards me." Dan Wangkai didn't even think before replying. "Wrong." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Wrong?" Dan Wangkai was slightly taken aback and asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" "Under the premise of respect, you have to have powerful strength to rely on. Look at you now, you're only at the peak of the 9 heavens realm. With this cultivation, what can you do? If you're really alone now, facing the big forces of the ancient world, you have no right to choose at all. You can only obediently work for them and refine pills. Otherwise, you'll die." Qin Feiyang glared at him angrily. "That's an assumption. The reality is, with big shots like you around, who dares to touch me?" Dan Wangkai said. "Why can't you listen to me? What if one day you become a person, can you still rely on us?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. "Become a person?" Dan Wangkai was shocked and said in a panic, "Young master, are you going to abandon me?" Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead and said, "I'm saying what if. There's no what if. I've already made up my mind to pester you for the rest of my life." Dan Wangkai chuckled. Following Qin Feiyang was so good, he didn't have to worry about herbs, furnace, or fire. He just had to focus on refining pills. How could there be such good conditions? Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched and said, "I'm not a girl, why are you pestering me?" "I'll pester you," Dan Wangkai said. "You still have a reason, don't you? Believe it or not, I'll throw you out and let you die on your own right now." Qin Feiyang's face darkened. What a stubborn guy. Don't. Didn't you say that I'm so weak? How can I survive if you throw me out alone? Fine. I'll go cultivate now. I won't come out until I break through to the imperishable realm. Dan Wangkai's face was full of helplessness. Who would force someone to cultivate? That's what you said. Qin Feiyang said. I said it. Dan Wangkai nodded. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "That's more like it." Then go. Okay. Dan Wangkai nodded and reluctantly looked at the netherworld demonic flame and the heaven flame divine furnace, then turned and walked out of the cultivation room. Even I have to force them to cultivate? What kind of guys are they, worrying about me all day long? Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly and suddenly saw a dozen interspatial rings next to the furnace. He suspiciously stepped forward, grabbed the interspatial rings and checked them one by one. He was immediately stunned. These interspatial rings were actually filled to the brim with pills. There were divine life pills, spiritual sea pills, heaven spirit pills, divine power pills, and so on. And all of them had 4 veins. Young master, those pills are prepared for your battle with the dragons. Suddenly, Dan Wangkai poked his head out of the door and stared at Qin Feiyang with a smile. Still here? Qin Feiyang turned and stared at him. Dan Wangkai smiled embarrassedly and immediately turned and slipped away. Qin Feiyang shook his head and looked at the dozen interspatial rings again with a smile on his face. This guy was really considerate. Putting down the interspatial rings, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and closed the stone door. Then he sat on the ground with his legs crossed. Boom! At that moment, 3 flames appeared and floated in front of Qin Feiyang. They were the law of light, the law of karma, and the law of thunder. Although Qin Feiyang had comprehended the law of light and the law of karma for a long time, because he was immersed in cultivation, these 2 laws had been at the beginner level. But now, he had finally broken through to the half-step invincible realm. It was time to study it. The law of light drove away the darkness and represented hope. The law of karma, there is cause and effect, represented the cycle of karma. The law of thunder, washed away the evil, represented the righteous aura. But these were just the beginner-level profound meanings. What were the deeper profound meanings? Qin Feiyang pondered. Gradually, his whole body and mind entered a state of selflessness, and his mind was constantly evolving the profound meanings of the 3 kinds of laws. Time passed quietly. Boom! One day, a terrifying aura erupted from the ancient castle. The owner of this aura was Yang Li. That's right. Yang Li also stepped into the greater mastery undead realm. Soon, another even more terrifying aura emerged. The owner of this aura was Sovereign Beast. He also broke through to the great perfection undead realm. Another period of time passed. Every few days, a powerful aura would erupt from the Devil's Land. For example, White-Eyed Wolf, Mermaid Princess, Zhao Tai-Lai, Blood Qilin, Li Changhe, Devil Ancestor, and others had all stepped into the half-step invincible realm. The foundation of the Devil's Land was getting stronger day by day. It was the same in Zhongzhou. The Ice Emperor and the Rain Emperor had both stepped into the greater mastery undead realm. Almost all of the 108 generals had stepped into the lesser mastery undead realm. There was also Qin Badian and Lu Xingyang, who had opened the door of potential. Their cultivation speed was faster than Sovereign Beast, Cloud Sovereign, and Yizhong. Therefore, they also caught up with the 3 of them and entered the great perfection undead realm. In this way, the Black Tortoise realm already had 5 great perfection undead realm powerhouses. In addition to the greater mastery undead realm, lesser mastery undead realm, lesser mastery undead realm, and half-step undead realm, the number of great powerhouses in the Black Tortoise realm had reached thousands. However, most of these thousands of great powerhouses belonged to the Dragon Slayer Palace. After all, the foundation of the Dragon Slayer Palace was better than the Black Tortoise realm. Chapter 2900. No one knew how much time had passed. Suddenly, one day, an incomparably sacred aura roared out from the ancient castle and headed straight for the sky. This phenomenon immediately alarmed many people. Everyone came out of seclusion and looked up at the sky. Gradually, pure white auspicious clouds surged above the sky, followed by a rain of light, full of sacred aura. That scene looked as if a god was about to descend to the mortal world. Boom! Suddenly, a bright divine light rushed out from the ancient castle and rushed into the sky. Immediately after, with a loud clang, a pure white long sword appeared out of thin air. The long sword was thousands of feet long, and its entire body was suffused with sacred light, illuminating the 9 heavens. What is this? Everyone looked at the long sword in surprise. This long sword was at the top of the sky, but it did not emit a terrifying aura, nor did it have a shocking sharpness. However, it carried a sacred aura that made people tremble, as if it was the incarnation of a god. Esoteric ability, Sword of Light, suddenly. In the ancient castle, an ethereal voice sounded. The next moment, Qin Feiyang appeared at the top of the clouds, grabbed the long sword, and slashed at the sky in front of him. Boom! The sky of the Devil's Land suddenly began to collapse crazily. That scene was like the end of the world. Esoteric ability, Sword of Light. Looking at this scene, Yizhong, Sovereign Beast, and Supreme Cloud below couldn't help but tremble. This was the first esoteric ability of the Law of Light? Sword of Light. It was like the incarnation of an angel, obliterating all evil. At the top of the clouds, Qin Feiyang glanced at the collapsing sky with a trace of joy in his eyes. The power of this esoteric ability was beyond his imagination. According to his judgment, it could compete with a heaven-defying technique. It was no wonder that so many people in the world yearned for the Law of Light. Because mastering a Law of Light was equivalent to possessing a heaven-defying technique. What is this? When your Law of Light reaches the peak, even a heaven-defying technique can only flatter you. The little boy appeared out of thin air and looked at Qin Feiyang indifferently. Really? Qin Feiyang was bewildered. Ignorant. The little boy rolled his eyes, and then he glanced at the collapsed sky and said angrily, "Can you not behave atrociously for no reason? Do you know how much origin energy is needed to repair this?" Ugh! Qin Feiyang was stunned. Could it be that this little brat ran out not to congratulate him, but to scold him? "You're always causing trouble for me." The little boy glared at Qin Feiyang and disappeared without a trace. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly, but before he could be happy, he was scolded by the little brat. Wait a minute. That's not right. It seemed like he was the true ruler of the Black Tortoise world. What the hell was going on? The dignified ruler of the Black Tortoise world was actually bullied by a little brat all day long. Qin Feiyang shook his head, and the Sword of Light in his hand dissipated, and then he landed in front of the ancient castle with a single step. Yizhong walked over and looked at Qin Feiyang as if he was looking at a monster, and said, "You're too fast." Fast? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Of course. Only 10,000 years have passed in the Black Tortoise world since you began to comprehend the Law of Light. In 10,000 years, you've raised the Law of Light to the initial stage. Isn't that fast? You should know that when this old man raised the Law of Fire from the initial stage to the initial stage, it took me hundreds of thousands of years. Yizhong shook his head. Comparisons are odious. This saying was indeed true. We're about the same. Beside him, Revered Beast and Revered Cloud nodded. Hearing you say that, I think it's really quite fast. Qin Feiyang said in a daze. Nonsense. The three of them rolled their eyes at him. That's not right. Senior brother Looney only took him a few thousand years to comprehend the Law of Slaughter to the initial stage. Now, I actually need 10,000 years of time. Compared to him, I'm really too slow. Qin Feiyang frowned. Was his comprehension not as good as senior brother Looney's? A few thousand years? Yizhong and the others were stunned. They looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Are you sure?" "Of course I'm sure." He said it himself. Qin Feiyang nodded, then looked at Revered Cloud and said, "When you fought him outside Fallen Valley, didn't you personally experience it?" "I did experience his Law of Slaughter at that time, but I didn't know that his Law of Slaughter had already reached the initial stage of the second stage." The Chief Pavilion Master shook his head. "You didn't know?" Qin Feiyang was startled. After thinking carefully for a moment, he slapped his head in realization and said with a smile, "He only said that after you were killed." Wang Ming and Yang Li knew about it because they were both present at that time. So, you didn't trick us? Revered Cloud asked. Qin Feiyang said with a wry smile, you're all supreme experts of the perfect imperishable stage. I wouldn't dare trick you even if I borrowed courage from the heavens. He reached the second stage of the law of slaughter a few thousand years ago. How frightening is his comprehension? The three of them looked at each other. Before, they had only thought that Looney was monstrous, but they didn't expect his comprehension to be so amazing. He's actually slower than senior brother Looney. It seems that I have to work harder in the future. Qin Feiyang murmured. You're not slow either, okay? Yi Zhong was helpless. Something suddenly occurred to Revered Cloud. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, Qin Feiyang, are you comprehending 3 laws at the same time? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded, then shook his head regretfully. Unfortunately, I've only reached the second stage of the law of light. That's right. You're definitely slower than Looney if you're comprehending 3 laws at the same time. How can you do 3 things at the same time? Revered Cloud was speechless. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. If that's the case, I'm about the same as senior brother Looney. We don't know much about little Looney, so we don't know how long he took. But your speed is already shocking enough. And this little Looney is also a monstrous genius. Revered Cloud shook his head. Yi Zhong and Revered Beast smiled bitterly. They felt helpless facing these 2 young people. Don't be envious. After all, there's a saying that the new generation excels the old. Qin Feiyang smiled smugly. Scram. Yi Zhong's face darkened. Qin Feiyang chuckled and ran into the castle, continuing to comprehend the law of thunder and the law of karma. This brat, Yi Zhong shook his head and laughed. Then, he looked at Revered Cloud and Revered Beast and said bitterly, we really have to work harder. Otherwise, we'll be surpassed by these little guys soon. Hearing this, Revered Cloud and Revered Beast smiled bitterly. Boom. Time flew by. Suddenly, one day, a terrifying aura erupted from the bottom of the herb field. At the same time, the originally clear sky was instantly covered by blood clouds. The power of thunder and lightning flashed crazily, exuding a destructive power. What's going on? Everyone ran out and looked at this scene in surprise. This seems to be another heavenly tribulation. What the hell? Who is it? Rolling tribulation clouds and terrifying thunder and lightning. What else could it be but a heavenly tribulation? This, Qin Feiyang also ran out of the castle and looked at this scene in surprise. I'm finally going to step into the half-step invincible realm. Suddenly, the madman burst out from the ground with an arrogant laugh. Boom! Crack! The moment Looney appeared, the aura of the heavenly tribulation immediately shrouded him. Looney looked at the sky in shock and murmured, is this a heavenly tribulation? Nonsense. If this isn't a heavenly tribulation, then what is? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Fuck, I'm actually going to transcend a heavenly tribulation? No, I've been innocent all my life, and I've done good things. How can there be a heavenly tribulation? Looney scratched his head. What you mean is that I'm an unforgivable villain and should be struck by a heavenly tribulation? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. More or less. Looney nodded. Get lost. Qin Feiyang's face was dark. Didn't he know what kind of person he was? And he still had the nerve to call him a villain. I say, can you two be more serious? Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang and Looney speechlessly. The heavenly tribulation was already here, and they were still in the mood to bicker? They really admired their mentality. It seems like it's really my heavenly tribulation. Looney looked at the sky and murmured to himself. Boom! Woo! Thunder rumbled and the wind howled. The heavenly tribulation covered all directions. Another one is going to transcend a heavenly tribulation. What kind of monsters are these? The little boy appeared and complained in dissatisfaction. He shouted at Qin Feiyang, "What are you standing there for? Hurry up and send him out." Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. With a wave of his hand, he brought Luni out of the Black Tortoise world and appeared in the Star River. Because he entered the Black Tortoise world in the Star River, he naturally appeared in the Star River now. The Heavenly Tribulation also appeared in the Star River. Let's go to the Divine Dragon Island first. Luni glanced at the Star River and said to Qin Feiyang, "Why are we going to the Divine Dragon Island?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "Nonsense, of course it's to provoke them." Luni chuckled. Qin Feiyang shook his head speechlessly. The two flashed out of the Star River and flew toward the Divine Dragon Island below. When Qin Feiyang was transcending a heavenly tribulation, the divine artifacts forcefully shattered the barrier of the divine land, and Longzuan didn't repair it. So now, there was no barrier in the divine land. What's going on? The Mermaid Emperor opened his eyes and looked at the sky in shock. Whoosh! Suddenly, he noticed two figures descending from the sky and hurriedly went up. "Feiyang, what's going on?" "It's Luni," Qin Feiyang said. "Luni is also transcending a heavenly tribulation?" The Mermaid Emperor looked at Luni in shock. "Don't be envious. This is something you can't get." Luni grinned. The Mermaid Emperor's face twitched. Who would be envious of such a thing? Qin Feiyang shook his head and looked at Luni. "Be serious. This is the heavenly tribulation of the imperishable realm." Luni said, "But you have to believe that it's definitely not as terrifying as your heavenly tribulation. You know?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. "Of course you can think of that. I'm such a good person. How could God bear to kill me?" Luni rubbed his chin narcissistically. Qin Feiyang looked at the sky speechlessly. What kind of person is this? There should be a limit to narcissism. The Mermaid Emperor asked, "Then where are you going to transcend the heavenly tribulation?" "Where are we going to transcend the heavenly tribulation?" Luni and Qin Feiyang looked at each other and smiled at the same time. Swish! Qin Feiyang waved his hand and a figure appeared. It was Qin Badian. "Ancestor, take us to the sky above the Divine Dragon Island," Qin Feiyang said. When Qin Badian heard this, he too was stunned. Luni chuckled and said, "Let the dragons be envious." Envious? Qin Badian was speechless. As for the Mermaid Emperor, he didn't know how to describe his feelings at this moment. He already said that no one would be envious of this heavenly tribulation. Why didn't he believe him? Okay. Qin Badian shook his head, opened a space crack, and rushed in with the two of them. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.